Good morning, everyone. I would like to extend a warm welcome to the Housing Community Development Department's Contract Compliance Virtual Technical Assistance Training for Contractors. I trust that you are all looking forward to the presentations this morning. But before we begin, please let me know in the chat box if you are experiencing any issues with audio or visual aspects of this presentation. I would also like to go over a few of our housekeeping items. All participants are requested to remain on mute during the presentations, and please note that today's session will be recorded for training purposes. I am Lakeisha Tate, the Administration Manager within Contract Compliance, and I will be leading the Virtual Technical Assistance Training for Pre-Award Services. We sincerely appreciate your presentation in this online training session, and if you have any questions, please feel free to submit them in the chat box. I will address them at the conclusion of my presentation. To enhance your experience, we will be gathering feedback on our presentations. So at the end of each session, a link to the survey will be shared in the chat box for your convenience. And please complete our technical assistance feedback survey. We greatly appreciate and value your feedback. So our division contact as follows is Kanisha London is our Deputy Director of Housing Community Development Department, and Crystal Boyce is the Division Manager for Contract Compliance, which oversees pre-awards. She leads a team of professionals that administer Section 3, Pay or Play, and the Minority Women-Owned Small Business Enterprise Program. So this pre-award services technical assistance training will begin at 8:30 and end at 9:20. As the Administration Manager for Pre-Award Services, I am deeply committed to contract compliance and dedicated to ensuring that representatives have a comprehensive understanding of the program rules and compliance expectations related to HCD projects. Should you have any questions or concerns about the compliance requirements for pre-award services, please feel free to reach out to me via email at lakeisha.tate@houstontx.gov or contact me by phone at 832-394-6345. My contact information will be provided to you in the chat box. Some of you who may not be well acquainted with pre-award services will say, what exactly is pre-award services? So pre-award services was established a compliance foundation at the initial stage of project by thoroughly reviewing solicitation language, ensuring that contract documents adhere to compliance standards, and evaluating and approving necessary compliance documents such as participation plans for MWSBE, Section 3, and Pay or Play. This process enhances performance and reduces risk associated on HCD projects. I will serve as the point of contact with the developer and prime contractor and/or general contractor to ensure that compliance is not only achieved, but it is proactive, progressive, and continuous throughout the duration of the project. This approach will ensure that all parties involved are knowledgeable about and capable of implementing program requirements before work commences. So what are the benefits of pre-award services? Pre-award services offer significant advantages by providing the contracting party with comprehensive guidance on relevant program compliance requirements, thereby minimizing your risk on project delays and ensuring compliance at the beginning phase of your project and also throughout the duration of your project. For instance, upon notification of the awardee, an email is sent to the contracting party outlining the guidance and compliance expectations related to MWSBE, Section 3, and Pay or Play programs. Additionally, pre-award services organize informational meetings with the contract party to review the rules and compliance requirements associated with the pre-award requirements. Pre-award also requests a cost allocation that details the use of funds, offering a clear breakdown to the contracting party to ensure that project activities comply with MWSBE Section 3 and Pay or Play requirements. Furthermore, pre-award also facilitates contracting, employment, and training opportunities by mandating the developer, the prime contractor, or general contractor to complete an EBID and/or EOA announcement. These announcements are distributed to local businesses and workers to enhance economic and employment opportunities for Section 3 businesses. MWSBE firms and Section 3 workers involved are interested on HCD projects. Further details regarding eBid or EOA announcements will be provided later in the presentation. This section of the pre-award presentation, I will provide you pre-award documents that must be submitted on behalf of the developer and/or general contractor before project activity can proceed. In this segment of the pre-award presentation, I will present the pre-award documents that need to be submitted by the developer and/or general contractor prior to commencement of project activities. First, we'll go into the Minority Women Business Enterprise, better known as MWSBE. Some of you who are not aware that it was a policy change made to the City of Houston's MWBE program, which now the city allows MWBE primes to meet advertised goals by self-performing up to 50% of the total contract goal. So this change is only applicable if you have a new solicitation that was approved or awarded after February the 3rd, 2023. So if your project was awarded under a previous no-for or solicitation, then the 50% self-performing for the MWBE prime will not be allowed. So please keep in mind in regards to this policy change that MWBE primes will have to choose which goal they would like to receive credit for on the construction projects, MBE or WBE. And once a goal type for that participation is selected, then the goal, the certified prime participation credit will be capped at the proposed percentage or the approved goal, whichever one is lower. So as you know, the cities, HCD was using aspirational goals for the MWSBE program. So on our construction contracts, we were using 34%, 24% on professional services, and then 11% on our goods and services contract. Unfortunately, a new change has been implemented that the city now requires that on any new procurements for goal-oriented contracts of any type, you must either have a contract specific to arrive at an MWBE goal, or you will utilize HCD approved categorical goals. So HCD have approved categorical goals only applicable on construction related activities for our multifamily, public facility, and single family awards. So for multifamily, we have a 38% goal, and that's 30% MBE, 8% WBE. On our public facility projects, we have a 35% goal, 26 MBE, 9% WBE. And on our single family projects, we have a 29% goal, 21% MBE, and 8% WBE. And the 4% substitution is still allowed. So we'll get right into talking about the MWSBE requirements on projects that are applicable to an MWBE goal. The developer or the general contractor will be required to submit an MWSBE participation plan along with signed letters of intent. The MWSBE participation plan is known as the document 470, and 471 and 472 will be required if your plan does not demonstrate meeting the approved MWBE goal. You want to make sure that only firms certified through the City of Houston Office of Business Opportunity can be utilized toward your goal achievement. So in order to achieve your goal, you want to make sure that the M and the WBE goals are separate subcontracting goals that must be met individually. You want to make sure that only 4% SBE is used to substitute either the MBE or WBE goal, but both cannot get 4%. You want to make sure any excess of an MBE or a WBE goal cannot be used to meet a deficit MBE or WBE goal. For example, if you submit an MWSB participation plan and your MWBE goal is 34% and 23% is MBE and 11% is WBE, and you exceed the MWBE goal of 23, you submit 25, but on your WBE, you only submit 9%. That 2% excess cannot go toward the WBE goal. You are allowed to substitute the 4%. So you want to make sure if you have a MBE or WBE prime, that they're only self-performing up to 50% of the overall advertised goal. And their certification may count toward the MWBE, MBE or the WBE. Only City of Houston certified firms may be used to meet either the MBE or the WBE goal. So you want to make sure that you go and visit the City of Houston Office of Business Opportunity website at www.houstontx.gov and click on the directory link to search over 5,000 qualified certified vendors in that directory. You want to make sure that you're completing and signing a document and that your MWBE participation plan is attached with signed letters of intent. So you're either going to submit the MWBE participation plan, which is document 470, and it meets the minimum goal requirement, or you're going to be required to submit 3 documents if you cannot demonstrate meeting the minimum goal requirement, and you'll be required to submit document 470, 471, and 472. This is just a copy of what the MWSB participation plan, known as document 470, looks like. It captures the MWB participation plan by the developer or contractor and what you commit to achieve to meet the contract goal. It helps me, the pre-award administration manager, determine whether you actually have a plan that meets the minimum goal requirements. So you'll be required to put whatever your goal requirements is for MBE and WBE, and then you'll list the certified subcontractors and suppliers in the middle area, and then your bidders participation plan total should add what percentage you're giving to MBEs, WBEs, and if you're going to substitute any SBE, you'll make sure that that is captured in the bidders participation plan total. You want to make sure that it's signed, dated, printed, and all of this information is filled out. If you are unable to meet your demonstrated, your approved MWBE goal, then you will be required to submit if you have good faith efforts. So this will be document 471. It allows you to demonstrate what good faith efforts you use to meet the advertised goal. It allows the department to see what efforts made to find any MWSBE firms, and you want to make sure this document is completed and filled out entirely, and that it's accompanied by any supporting documentation. Now, for any participation plan that fails to meet the minimum goal requirement, then the administrative department is the City of Houston Office of Business Opportunity. So like I said, you're either going to turn in 1 document that meets the goal, or you're going to turn in 3 documents. And those 3 documents will be forwarded over to the administrative department, which is the Office of Business Opportunity. Here's the 3rd document if you're unable to demonstrate meeting the minimum goal requirements. It's the contractor deviation goal request. It allows you to explain 2 things: why you were unable to meet the advertised goal and what good faith efforts you made that were not captured on the 471. And then you're able to provide additional justification. You want to make sure that this 472 form is filled out entirely and accompanied with any supporting documentation in regards to your request to deviate from the advertised goal. Now here's a copy of the MWSBE letter of intent. This form is required to be accompanied with the MWSB participation plan. This form is required to be completed entirely. So the developer or the prime contractor will be provided the bid amount in regards to whatever goal has been approved for your project. The MWSBE letter of intent must include an estimated amount or percentage that you're going to give the certified subcontractor or supplier. When I receive this letter of intent, I'm looking to make sure that the same percentage you listed on your participation plan should be the same percentage that you include on your letter of intent. We want to make sure that your letter of intent is signed by the prime contractor or general contractor, as well as the certified subcontractor or supplier. You want to make sure all of this information is accurate and correct, and everything is filled and dated in order for me to say that this letter of intent is responsive. Now, this is just a copy of what a completed MWSB participation plan looks like. At the top, you have the city advertised contract goal. This example has a goal of 34%, which 23% is MBE, 11% is WBE. They have the NAICS codes listed. They went in the certified directory and verified the NAICS codes. They verified the description of work for the certified firm. They put the percentage, the services, and they listed only one certification type. Even though you might have a certified subcontractor or supplier that is certified in multiple certification types, you are only allowed to use one certification type to meet the MBE or the WBE goal. So I'm looking when you check the certification type column that it only has MBE, WBE, or SBE. It should not have multiple boxes checked. I want to make sure that your bidder's participation plan total is capturing the percentages that you listed for MBEs, WBEs, or SBEs. This amount should be reflected on what you plan on demonstrating meeting. I want to emphasize it is important. If your goal is 34%, 38%, 35%, that you submit a plan demonstrating meeting the minimum goal requirement. If you submit a participation plan that exceeds whatever goal was approved for your project, you will be required to adhere to that approved goal on your MWSBE participation plan. Let me be very clear. If you submit a MWSBE participation plan that exceeds your minimum goal for MBE or WBE or overall, you will be required to adhere to that goal throughout the duration of the project. Now, when I'm calculating your MWSB participation plan, I want to remind you that it is two separate goals that must be met individually. So for this participation plan, they had 23% MBE, 11% WBE. This participation plan, they substituted 4%. So the 4% is going to be used toward the MBE because the MBE goal only captures 19%. So I'm going to take the 19%, the 4%, and that's going to equal to 23. The WBE goal is listed at 11. So I'm taking the 11 plus the 23% of the MBE goal, and it's going to equal 34. Does this plan meet the minimum goal requirement of 34%? Yes. So when I'm assessing the MWBE participation plan, I'm looking for you to submit the 470, which is the MWBE participation plan, along with the signed letter of intent. That means for every certified subcontractor or supplier listed on your participation plan, you must have a signed letter of intent for them. You want to make sure that the participation plan is signed and dated. All requirements must be provided with the participation plan for me to review and assess the participation plan, and it must demonstrate meeting the minimum goal requirements. If you submit a participation plan that is deemed responsive, an approval email will be provided to the owner developer, the prime, and the relations manager, recommending you to proceed with scheduling of a pre-construction meeting and project activities. If the participation plan does not demonstrate meeting the minimum goal requirements, or if you list firms that are not currently certified, or if you list firms that are not required to have the work description, they're not certified in that work description, wrong NAICS codes are being listed, your participation plan will be deemed non-responsive, and you are not allowed to revise that participation plan, and it will be forwarded over to the administrative department of the MWSBE program, which is the Office of Business Opportunity. So once I send you an email and say that that plan is non-responsive, you will be required to submit a 470 if you have good faith efforts, a 471, a 472, and any supporting documentation. And I'll forward it over to the Office of Business Opportunity. Their processing time is 7 to 10 business days. And my processing time is 7 to 10 business days once I have received all pre-award required documents. So we'll get into section 3. If your project is subject to HUD Section 3 requirements, then pre-award will require the developer, prime contractor, and/or general contractor to complete and submit compliant Section 3 participation plan, along with signed letters of intent to my attention for review and approval. Section 3 numerical goal requirements are for any contractor with a contract in excess of $100,000 are required to meet the numerical goal requirements listed below. Compliance with goal requirements can only be achieved by subcontracting with certified Section 3 business concerns and employing Section 3 workers. And that's how you'll meet your contracting and employment requirements with Section 3. So for Section 3, I'm looking to receive a Section 3 participation plan with signed letters of intent, and only firms certified through the Housing Community Development can be utilized toward goal achievement. Okay. And an EBID announcement will be required for any new contracting opportunities. So the developer, if you have any new contracting opportunities, if you're trying to procure a general contractor or a prime contractor, then you would submit an EBID announcement for that opportunity. And then once you have procured a general contractor or prime contractor, they will be required to complete an EBID announcement and submit it to my attention for any new contracting opportunities. Those opportunities will be disseminated to the Section 3 and the MWSBE directory. Now, if a developer needs to hire anyone or a prime contractor needs have any new employment opportunities, then you will submit an employment opportunity announcement, and we direct those new opportunities to our Section 3 workers. So the Section 3 numerical goal requirements, there are contracting and employment goals. The contracting goals is 3%. That means 3% of your soft cost budget you are required to award them to Section 3 business concerns. We have a 10% hard cost. So 10% of your total direct construction budget should be awarded to Section 3 businesses. We also have a 25% Section 3 worker benchmark goal. That means 25% or more of the total labor hours should be performed by Section 3 workers, with at least 5% being performed by target Section 3 workers. So this is a copy of what our Section 3 participation plan looks like. You want to make sure that you complete the information at the top that is asking for the contractor's information. You want to make sure that you review the Section 3 compliance requirements as it relates to hiring. In the event that you, the prime contractor or the developer, is submitting this participation plan and you do not anticipate on hiring any permanent, then you will select the box that applies to any of your hiring needs, or if you don't plan on hiring. If you do plan on hiring and it triggers any new employment opportunities, then you would list that information under the hiring plan columns in your commitment to achieve your benchmark goal. This part of the participation plan is where you will complete it for your 10%. So this is your subcontracting plan. So on this plan, this portion of the plan, I'm looking for you to list any Section 3 business concern you will be utilizing to meet the 10% hard cost goal. So you put the name, what work they're going to perform, ensure that they are a Section 3 business concern by reviewing our online directory. You'll put their contract amount and the percentage that you plan on utilizing them for this project. This is a letter of intent. So as I said, with the Section 3 participation plan, you will be required to have this letter of intent accompanied with your Section 3 participation plan. The developer or prime contractor will be provided the bid amount for your 10% as well as your 3%. So on your letter of intent, you'll put the bid amount. If this goal is for 10%, then you'll put 10%. If this letter of intent is for 3%, then you'll make sure you capture 3%. You'll make sure you put the certified name. You want to list the same percentage or amount that you put on the Section 3 participation plan in the middle, and you want to make sure that you sign and date it. So when I'm assessing a participation plan, I'm looking for you to have a Section 3 signed letter of intent for each Section 3 business concern listed towards your goal achievement. You want to make sure the plan is signed and dated. You want to make sure the letters of intent are signed by you and the certified Section 3 business concern. You want to make sure that you submit a plan that demonstrates meeting that 10%, 3% numerical goals, and then you want to make sure that you fill out the portion regarding the hiring. If your Section 3 plan and letters of intent are deemed responsive, then you will receive a notification of approval to recommend proceeding with the scheduling of the pre-construction meeting and project activities. If your plan fails to meet the Section 3 numerical goal requirements, I'm looking for you to submit good faith efforts in meeting those Section 3 numerical goal requirements. So I'm looking for you to have sent out e-bid announcements. I'm looking for you to have a call log where you've contacted several businesses in the Section 3 directory. I'm going to be asking for a copy of your scope of work to see what available opportunities there were on this project, and had you direct all of those opportunities to the Section 3 business concerns in the directory. So you want to make sure that if you submit a plan and it fails to demonstrate meeting the Section 3 numerical goal requirements, that you take a look at the City of Houston good faith efforts policy to make sure that you're documenting acceptable good faith efforts in regards to Section 3. Until I receive a compliant Section 3 participation plan that meets the numerical goal requirements or acceptable good faith efforts, you will not receive a recommendation to proceed with project activity. So my standard processing time is 7 to 10 business days. If you submit a participation plan and it does not meet the numerical goal requirements, then I will set up a meeting to discuss and see how can we come up with a revised participation plan within 7 to 10 business days. If you submit a revised Section 3 participation plan or acceptable good faith efforts, then we will be able to review and approve it accordingly and recommend proceeding with project activities. So if you have any new contracting opportunities as a developer when you're going to procure a general contractor, or the general contractor or prime contractor have any new opportunities for subcontractors, you're going to be required to submit the e-bid announcement. You will complete that e-bid announcement and submit it to my attention for review and approval at the earliest phase of your project. You want to make sure your e-bid announcement lists the scope of work, the minimum qualifications. It has a contact information and a bid due date. It must be a minimum of 2 weeks that you must advertise that e-bid announcement. Once you send the e-bid announcement to me, I will review and approve it, and then I will disseminate it out to the Section 3 business directory and the MWSBE directory as well. You want to make sure that you do your due diligence and you are also distributing the e-bid announcement to the directories as well to document your good faith efforts to demonstrate meeting Section 3 or MWSBE goals. So this is just what a copy of the Section 3 e-bid announcement looked like. You want to make sure that the date is accurate and the due date is a minimum of 2 weeks. You want to list the project name, address, who it's from the developer or the prime contractor. You want to list the summary of work that's available. You want to make sure it has the contact name and information, because some of our interested MWSBEs in Section 3, they will reach out and want a copy of specifications and plans and different things like that. So we want to make sure that you are able to communicate to them if you have a valid contact information phone number, so they can be able to email and request additional information to turn in a bid. If the project is subject to Section 3 requirements, then after you submit an e-bid announcement, you will be required to submit a Section 3 bid tabulation to my attention at the end of the solicitation. So 7 business days after the end of your solicitation period has closed, and I'm going to be looking for you to submit a bid tabulation, which indicated if any awarded contracts were to Section 3 business, or indicate that a bid was not received from a Section 3 business, or that the successful candidate that you selected was not a Section 3 business, it will require a letter of explanation detailing why you did not select that Section 3 business concern. So this is due 7 days after the end of your due date. So employment opportunity announcements. This is for any new employment opportunities. We will require you to complete and submit an EOA announcement. We're not asking you to go out and create any opportunities. We stand if any new opportunities shall arise, then you must submit an EOA announcement, and we must direct those new opportunities to the directory of our Section 3 worker, right? So we want to make sure that you complete the form, you submit it to me for review and approval. And once we submit that EOA announcement, it's a due date of 2 minimum weeks as well. Once it comes back after 7 business days, we're looking for results to include the name of the new hire, their classification, or if not, provide us an explanation if the opportunity did not result in you selecting our Section 3 worker. And this is just a copy of what the EOA announcement looks like. You want to put the date. You want to make sure the due date is 2 weeks after that date. You want to send it to the Section 3 directory, list the name of the project, provide the employment opportunities you have available, and make sure you list the contact name and phone number and email. The Section 3 worker will complete it and submit it back to that contact person listed on the form. So last but not least, we'll get into pay or play. So pay or play was established in July 2007 and is governed by Executive Order 1 through 7 of the City of Houston, which allows prime contractors that are valued over $100,000 and related subcontractors valued over $200,000 to comply with the City of Houston pay or play requirements. So what will be required, and this is for the developer or the prime contractor, you will be required to submit pay or play documents. You will be required to submit a POP1 acknowledgement form, a POP2 pay or play certification of compliance with the pay or play program, a POP3 pay or play program list of subcontractors, and a B2G management access form for who will be your designated person with the developer or the prime contractor. All of these documents must be submitted to my attention so I can review it and approval prior to me recommending to proceed with project activities. This is what a POP1 form looks like. It will acknowledge the developer or prime contractor saying that they agree to comply with the pay or play program since they are the successful contractor. You must complete it and submit it to me. What's not solicitation number, it's not required. If you have your vendor number, you want to make sure that you include it and sign and date it. The POP2 form is your certification of compliance. You will choose how will you participate in the program. You want to make sure that you're completing it as the prime contractor. You put in your address. The outline number is your contract agreement number. You want to put your contract amount, project name, contracting party, HCD. You want to list, are you going to pay, play, or both? You want to indicate the total number of employees that will be participating on this project. You want to list how many covered employees. If you have non-covered employees or exempt employees, you want to make sure that is listed on this POP2 form. This is very important to make sure that this POP2 form is completed entirely. The POP3 form is going to list all subcontractors, suppliers, consultants, service providers. Everyone you intend on working on this project should be listed on this POP3 form. Now, as it relates to pay or play, we know that suppliers are exempt. We know that any subcontractor who contracts under $200,000 is exempt, but you must list them on this POP3 form. I'm looking for all of your subcontractors or suppliers from MWSBE participation plan to be listed on your POP3. I'm looking for any Section 3 business concern that you listed on your Section 3 participation plan. They should be listed on your POP3. And then you will indicate if they're a supplier, they're exempt. If the contract is under $2,000, they're exempt. But if it's over $200,000, regardless what services that they provide, if they're not a supplier, then they must pay, play, or both. And you must indicate this on this POP3 form. Now we have the B2G access form. This form is required to be completed for you to acknowledge who will be your POP compliance designated person that will make sure that these pay or play compliance requirements, that you comply with it throughout the duration of the project. This needs to be completed so therefore we can have the correct point of contact listed in our management systems to ensure that they receive information related to pay or play. So we have a new form that we're going to introduce on HCD projects effective January the 23rd, 2025. So if anyone submits pre-award documents, you will be required to submit a contract compliance acknowledgement form. This form must be submitted before any recommendations proceeding with the construction meeting or any activities. This document will act as a confirmation of the contracting party's obligation to adhere to program requirements for their project, right? So this acknowledgement form will be required It will require the owner developer and the general contractor or prime contractor signature and date. You will acknowledge that you are responsible to ensure compliance with program requirements. All right. So some of the information that is captured on this compliance acknowledgement form, we will identify what's required for certified firms and their payments. We'll identify the consequences for being non-compliant. We will communicate the coordination with our outreach coordinators by making sure that mobile units will be coordinated on all the projects that are applicable to Section 3 requirements. We will now require a list of workers when you submit your participation plan. We want a copy of list of your workers. It's going to be mandatory that firms listed on your participation plan will be required to attend at least one technical assistance training throughout the project. We want to make sure we reiterate the closeout evaluation that you must make sure all your goal categories and compliance categories are met, or that you have supporting documentation to justify acceptable good faith efforts. And then we want to make sure that you acknowledge the City of Houston POP Executive Order 1 through 7, the City of Houston MWSBE policy, and the City of Houston Good Faith Efforts policy. So this form will be required with all pre-award documents. And this is a copy of the signature page that will be required by the owner developer as well as the general or prime contractor. So we'll get into the required solicitation documents that'll be required. So if a developer needs to advertise for a general contractor or prime contractor, they will be required to submit solicitation documents to my attention for review and approval before you advertise any solicitations. So in regards to the solicitation language, the developer will be provided the language for MWSBE if the project is subject to Section 3 and pay or play. You will be provided example of the solicitation language. You will make sure that this language is verbatim and that it includes whatever approved or advertised goal for your project. You want to make sure that a percentage is included in the solicitation. And this is the language for pay or play. You want to make sure that before project activity commences, along with the pre-award documents, you want to make sure that I receive a draft copy of your contract agreement. And you want to make sure that your contract agreement includes the federal requirements as it relates to domestic preferences and the prohibition of telecommunication technology. This is just something old, but as of 2022, it must be included in our contracts, along with all other applicable program requirements such as MWSBE Section 3 and pay or play. That language is always provided to the developer, as long as the prime contractor, all of that information is provided prior, so you can make sure that you include it in your draft and provide me a copy so I can review it and ensure that your contracts have the appropriate and the required language and documents. So when I'm looking at your draft contract agreements, I want to make sure that it captures any local, state, and federal compliance requirements. So you want to make sure that the federal labor standards provision is included and referenced in your contract agreement. You want to make sure that the contract compliance form packets are referenced and included. If the project is subject to MWSBE, you want to make sure document 808, which is the City of Houston MWSBE policy, is referenced and included. You want to make sure City of Houston Good Faith Efforts policy is referenced and included. As I said, a draft copy of all your construction contracts must be provided to my attention for review and approval to make sure that you have the required compliance language and the required documents referenced and attached for all applicable programs. So we'll just go over a few red flags. You want to make sure when submitting these pre-award documents, you have those signed letters of intent for both participation plans. You want to make sure on both participation plans that you're listing certified firms for MWSBE. You're listing certified firms for Section 3 that are currently certified. You want to make sure that their certification is not pending. They don't need to submit it. It must be currently certified. If you submit a participation plan and you list any Section 3 businesses or any MWSBE subs or suppliers that are not currently certified, your plan will be denied. You want to make sure with MWSBE, you're only substituting 4% of the MBE or WBE goals. You want to make sure with Section 3 that you're meeting all numerical goal requirements, 10% hard costs, 3% soft costs. When listing MWSB in Section 3s, you want to make sure that you have notification and approval from those certified Section 3 business concerns or MWSBE to list them for gold credit. That's why it's very important for you to make sure that that signed letter of intent is completed and submitted along with your participation plans. So if you fail to submit pre-award documents for review and approval in a timely manner, that will delay project activities. So if you intend on starting your project at a certain date, you want to make sure that those pre-award documents are submitted to my attention in a timely manner. My standard processing time is 7 to 10 business days. But however, if you submit a participation plan for Section 3 or MWSBE that does not demonstrate meeting minimum goal requirements, that is going to delay. It's going to take time to review, and it possibly will delay project activities. So you just want to be mindful when you want to have a construction start date or a pre-construction meeting. You want to make sure that you're submitting those documents and they meet the minimum goal requirements, or you have acceptable good faith efforts. But if good faith efforts have to be reviewed, that's going to take additional time. So you want to be mindful of that as well. So frequently asked questions. When are pre-award documents to be submitted? So they must be submitted before a pre-construction meeting can be recommended. Pre-award documents is MWSBE participation plan, signed letters of intent. Section 3 participation plan, signed letters of intent. Pay or play documents and the contract acknowledgement form must be submitted all at once. Do not submit documents one by one. I want to see documents submitted in one email, all documents, because the review process will not start until all documents have been submitted. Who do we submit the documents to? So you'll submit it to lakeisha.tates@houstontx.gov email. What are the next steps following the submission of the pre-award? So if your documents have been reviewed and approved, I will recommend proceeding with the pre-construction meeting and notice to proceed. I am not involved in the pre-construction meeting. I just make the recommendation. The assigned relations manager will facilitate the pre-construction meeting with the assigned MWSB Section 3 or pay or play contract administrators. I am out of that step. I just get you to the finish line by making sure that your plans and documents are compliant to get you to start project activities. If the MWE participation plan is deemed non-responsive, what is the next step? As I say, the administrative department, which oversees MWSBE program, is the City of Houston Office of Business Opportunity. So if you submit an MWSB participation plan that does not meet the minimum goal requirements, or you put non-certified firms on your participation plan, or they're not performing a commercial useful function, that plan is going to be deemed non-responsive and forwarded over to the Office of Business Opportunity for further review of a plan. Or if you submitted good faith efforts, that department has to review and make recommendation regarding good faith efforts and plans that does not meet the minimum goal requirements. Now, as it relates to Section 3, if your plan is deemed non-responsive, as I said, hopefully you have submitted acceptable good faith efforts. They will be reviewed and evaluated by me. And if not, a meeting will be scheduled with all parties in efforts to cure and allow you to submit a revised Section 3 participation plan within 7 to 10 business days. So what are the citywide aspirational MWBE goal requirements? As I said, construction was 34%, and only firms certified through the City of Houston Business Opportunity will be counted toward that participation goal if your project was advertised with 34%. Now we have approved HCD categorical goals. So if you're working on a new project, a construction related project for multifamily, it's going to be 38%. Public facilities is going to be 35%, and single family is going to be 29%. So what are the Section 3 numerical goal requirements? We have that 10% hard cost, which means your total direct construction budget should be awarded to Section 3 business concerns. You have the 3% soft cost budget for non-construction related activities. So if you have a soft cost budget, you are required to direct those to Section 3 business concerns. You have the 25% Section 3 worker benchmark. Your total labor hours should be performed by Section 3 workers, 25% of that, and with at least 5% being performed by target Section 3 workers. So to receive credit towards Section 3 numerical goals, businesses and workers must be certified through the Housing Community Development Department. You can always access the Section 3 Business Concern Worker and Business Directory on our website at those two links. We also encourage self-certification through HUD, Section 3 Business Registry. However, certification through HUD is not acceptable to meeting numerical goals on HCD awarded contracts. You also can get dual credit. So if you have a firm that is MWSBE and Section 3 certified, we definitely encourage you to list them on the participation plan to get dual credit. We encourage it. That's what we like to see. We like to see that you're using qualified, certified subcontractors and MWSBE and Section 3 to meet these goals. So if how do we evaluate good faith efforts? As I said, for MWSBE, it's evaluated by the MWSBE Administrative Department, but for Section 3, it's always on a case-by-case to determine if you complied. And what we always encourage you to do is review the City of Houston Good Faith Efforts Policy if you're going to submit any good faith efforts in relates to Section 3 requirements. And when should an e-bid announcement be disseminated? As I said, if you have any new contracting and employment opportunities, you would direct those opportunities and complete and submit the e-bid or EOA announcement to my attention. So we can go ahead and direct those opportunities and those employment opportunities to Section 3 and MWSBE firms at the earliest phase to help assist you meeting your MWSBE and Section 3 goal requirements. So at this point, do you have any questions or comments? Okay, well, this wraps up the pre-award services presentation. I really appreciate your presentation and our pre-award services virtual technical assistance training to enhance your experience. One question, do you need a list of all subcontractor workers named prior to pre-construction meeting? No. So what's only required by the prime contractor or developer is the Section 3 participation plan. Now, if the project is applicable to POP, that POP 3 form must list everyone you intend on working on your project. That'll be required for POP 3 for pay or play. What is the project minimum amount for Section 3? $100,000. You're welcome. You're welcome, Donna. So we really appreciate your participating in the pre-award services. To enhance your experience, we're going to gather feedback on my presentation. So I will provide the survey link in the chat box. If you would kindly complete the survey link. We greatly appreciate your feedback. So following this, Patricia Holcomb will lead our Section 3 virtual technical assistance training, which will commence at 9:30. Thank you, and I hope you find this next presentation enjoyable as well.
Good morning. Okay, good morning and welcome to the Section 3 Technical Assistance Training for Contractors. I am Patricia Holcomb, a Section 3 Contract Administrator for the City of Houston Housing and Community Development Department. I work in the Compliance and Grants Administration Division, and I will be presenting the Section 3 portion of today's training. Now, before I go on any further, please note that this presentation is being recorded for training purposes. Also, a copy of this presentation will be available on our website in approximately a week. The link to the website is listed in the chat for your convenience. Also, note that at the end of this presentation, please complete the survey. Your feedback is extremely valuable and will help in future trainings. The link to the survey is also included in the chat. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns during this presentation, enter them into the chat. We have our compliance team members on standby to address any questions, comments, or concerns that you may have. My contact information is also located in the chat. You may contact me directly if needed. I want to thank you for attending this presentation today. And without further ado, I will now begin. Our division contact information consists of our Deputy Director, who is Kanisha London, and then we have our Division Manager, Crystal Boyce. We're located at 2100 Travis Street, and that's on the 9th floor, and that's here in Houston, Texas. This is our website as well. Our Section 3 team members consist of myself, Patricia Holcomb, and Kadena Seals. We're both contract administrators. The purpose of Section 3 is to provide jobs, training, and contracting opportunities for low-income persons and businesses that employ low-income persons, and that's through certain HUD grants and funding programs. The benefits of Section 3 include contracting, employment, and training opportunities generated for low and very low income persons and for businesses that employ such individuals. It also helps businesses and workers foster relationships on community development projects, and it also provides preference and regular alerts to certified business concerns and workers when contracting employment opportunities arise. Some of the topics I will be discussing today include the purpose of Section 3, the benefits of Section 3. We're going to go over some Section 3 definitions, the Section 3 threshold, our numeric goal requirements, our Section 3 business concerns, our Section 3 workers, and our Section 3 targeted workers. And we're going to tell what the difference is. Also, the Section 3 directories. We're going to show you the directories, the certification processes. We're going to go over EBID, EOA, and bid tabulations, post-award activities. We're going to go over our compliance form package for contracts over and under $100,000. We will go over the LCP tracker auditing system that we use. We're going to go over the contractor's performance, the closeout evaluation process, and then I will leave you with some resource links. Some of our Section 3 definitions include, and these are some of the words that you'll hear us speak about in doing Section 3, is a contractor. A contractor is defined as a recipient to perform work in connection with the expenditure of public housing financial assistance or for work in connection with a Section 3 project. It can also be a sub-recipient for work in connection with a Section 3 project. A subcontractor is defined as any entity that has a contract with a contractor to undertake a portion of the contractor's obligation to perform work in connection with the expenditure of public housing financial assistance for a Section 3 project. A Section 3 covered contract is any contract or subcontract that is awarded for work generated by a Section 3 covered project. That Section 3 requirements do not apply to material supply contracts. Then we have Section 3 covered project is a project that involves the construction, reconstruction, or rehabilitation of housing or other public construction. Our labor hours are defined as the number of paid hours worked by persons on a Section 3 project. Low-income individuals are workers residing in the Houston metropolitan and non-metropolitan areas who do not exceed 8% of the HUD area median income limit. And then Youthville programs. They are programs receiving assistance under the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. Our Section 3 threshold. Section 3 compliance applies to all contracts in excess of $100,000, and that's for, again, the housing construction, rehabilitation, or the public construction. Section 3 numeric goal requirements include contracting goals. There's 10% of the construction budget. We also call this a hard cost budget. This must be directed to us to Section 3 business concerns. And then we have 3% of the non-construction budget. We also call that soft costs. That must be directed to our Section 3 business concerns. Then we have our labor hour goals. 25 of all labor hours performed must be by Section 3 workers. And then 5% of all labor hours performed must be by Section 3 targeted workers. Section 3 workers are workers who are certified through us, the City of Houston Housing and Community Development Department. They are on our directory. These are the Section 3 workers. Now, a Section 3 targeted worker is also a Section 3 worker. However, that targeted worker is a worker who lives in 1 mile radius of that particular project. So if they live in 1 mile radius, they can you can put them down as a part of your targeted workers on your reports. Our Section 3 business concerns. Okay, our Section 3 business concern is a business that meet at least one of the following criteria documented within the last 6-month period. For qualifying category 1, that's if 51% of the business is owned and controlled by low-income personal persons. Qualifying category 2 is when 75% of that business labor hours performed over the prior 3-month period was by low-income personal persons. And then we have qualifying category 3 is when 51% of the business is owned and controlled by current public housing residents or residents who currently live in Section 8 assisted housing. Our Section 3 worker and targeted workers. Okay, a Section 3 worker is any worker who currently fit or when hired within the past 5 years fit at least one of the following criteria. Number one, if that worker's income for the previous or current calendar year is below the HUD income limit. 2, if that worker is employed by a certified Section 3 business. And then there's 3, if that worker is a part of a youth build program. A Section 3 targeted worker means any worker who is, number one, they can be employed by a Section 3 business concern. 2, they can be a worker who fit or when hired fit at least one of the following categories. Number one, they can be a resident of the public housing or Section 8 assisted housing. 2, they can be a resident of other public housing projects or Section 8 assisted housing managed by the Public Housing Authority that is providing the assistance, or they can also be a part of a youth build program. Our Section 3 directories. Okay, our Section 3, in order to receive credit toward numeric goal requirements in our Section 3 our projects, our businesses must be certified through us, the City of Houston Housing and Community Development Department. HCDD maintains an online list of eligible Section 3 businesses and notifies them when contracting opportunities are available. Now, over on the right, you'll see at the top that when you go to our website, this will come up. When you choose our Section 3 directory, click onto that, then you will see the snippet at the bottom. That snippet at the bottom will give you, if you're looking for a Section 3 business, you can search by the certification type. You can search by the business name. If you know a business name and you just want to check to see if they're Section 3 certified, you can search by the business description. If you need a plumber, you can put plumber in there and it'll show you all the Section 3 plumbers that we have in that directory. Then you can search by the commodity code, or you can search by a contact person's name as well. Our Section 3 worker directories. In order to receive credit towards your numerical goal requirements, workers must be certified through the City of Houston Housing and Community Development Department. We maintain an online list of eligible Section 3 workers by skill or trade and notifies them when employment opportunities are available. over to the right, these are a couple of more snippets on what you'll see when you go to the website and with the click if you're interested in looking online on our online Section 3 worker directory. Okay, also on our Section 3 directory, there are two directories that we have. One is published, that's the one you would be able to see. So if you have a worker that wants to be a Section 3 worker, but they don't want to be published in the directory. They're not interested in any opportunities. They just want to help your company to fulfill their numeric goal requirements. They can be under the non-published directory. If they want to be, they can opt into being into the published directory. So the workers, uh, excuse me, the published directory is for the workers who opt into being placed on the public Section 3 worker directory, and that's on our website. These workers, they will receive email notification of employment and training opportunities. And then we have, excuse me, a snippet of the Section 3, page 7 of the Section 3 worker application. Number 8, it says, I agree to having my information published in the City of Houston Section 3 worker directory, online directory. And you can click yes. They can click yes or no. They print their name, sign it, and date it. Just like I said, if they click yes, they will be in the published directory. If they click no, they will be in the non-published directory. And there are workers who opt out of being in the public directory and they will not receive any email notification. Now, these directories are available upon request to assist with compliance reporting. Our Section 3 certification processes. Our application processes are our Section 3 business applications are only accepted through B2G now. The application and the Section 3 business directory can be accessed through this link here. And then we have our Section 3 workers application can be accessed and completed through this link here as well. And excuse me. Just like I mentioned before, you will get a copy or have access to a copy of this presentation. So if you need these links before then, you can always contact me. Um, Next, we have our Section 3 mobile unit. Our Section 3 mobile unit is available to assist with online certification of workers and subcontractor businesses. They're also available for economic opportunity presentations, and they will also share community and essential resources. So, if you're interested in having, and I encourage you to definitely contact Miss Karen Franklin. Miss Karen Franklin can come out. She will come out on the site so she can get your Section 3 businesses as well as some of your workers certified on the spot. Okay, she'll come out to you. Okay, our EBID, bid tabulations, and employment opportunity announcements. Our EBID requirements, okay? When contracting opportunities arise throughout the duration of your project, an EBID announcement must be submitted for dissemination to us, the Section 3 business, to the Section 3 businesses in our online directory. The eBid should be sent to the Section 3 contract administrator for dissemination to the Section 3 businesses. The contractor will review all bids received and should award contracts based on that Section 3 procurement guidelines, depending on if a bid was construction or non-construction. And then that contractor will submit a bid tabulation. That's after all the bids are received. That bid tabulation should indicate which awarded contracts were to a Section 3 business, and if not, that should indicate if a Section 3 business were not received. If a contractor fails to meet a numeric goal requirement, records that demonstrate efforts to comply with Section 3 goal requirements should remain readily available for reporting and auditing purposes. This is a copy of our eBid announcement. I'd like to stress out that the date and the bid due date, there should be a 14-day solicitation period. If it's not a 14-day solicitation period, the eBid announcement will be returned to you to make sure that there is a 14-day solicitation period. Make sure all the fields at the top, all of that is filled out. Make sure you have all information in there, and please make sure that you put contact information. So if someone, a company, contractor is interested in this announcement, then they know who exactly to contact. Okay. Next, this is a sample of a bid tabulation. This is a sample. However, if you like, you can use this bid tabulation. Some have their own bid tabulation. As long as we can capture what we have here on this sample, we will accept it. Okay. And this bid tabulation has to be submitted to us after all bids are received. Our employment opportunity announcement, we also call that an EOA. This is when new hire opportunities arise throughout the duration of the project. An employment opportunity announcement must be submitted for dissemination to our Section 3 workers in our online directory. The Housing and Community Development Department must be notified. We must be notified of the results, and that include the name of the new hire, the Section 3 classification, and an explanation if a Section 3 worker was not selected. This is a copy of the employment opportunity announcement. Again, that date and the application deadline date, that should be a 14-day solicitation period. And I can't stress that enough because I get them and there's not, and I'm constantly sending them back. And also make sure that there's contact information. So if a person is interested, they're not contacting me, they're contacting whomever is going to be doing the hiring for this particular job. Okay, post-award activities. Okay, contracting requirements for post awards. A Section 3 participation plan with letters of intent must be executed with the pre-award services prior to scheduling a pre-construction meeting and obtaining the notice to proceed. A pre-construction meeting will be held with the owner, developer, and prime contractor to discuss program rules and compliance expectations. Contract clients, personnel, and subcontractors are strongly encouraged to attend the pre-construction meeting to ensure that compliance requirements are understood before project activity commences. Okay, our Section 3 covered contracts, they must include the federal regulations for Section 3. That's Chapter 24 of the Code of Federal Regulations, Part 75. That if they are DR 17 multifamily projects, they must include the Workforce Provision Appendix 15. That Federal General Services Administration's system for award management, we also call that for short the SAMS.gov, and the Texas Comptroller search results for each contractor and subcontractor must performing on a project is required at the execution of the contract and annually. The prime contractor must ensure that all contractors comply with numerical goal reporting requirements and review documents for accuracy for submitting to HCDD. The prime contractor must report and submit any contract changes and/or change orders in the LCP tracker. Section 3 signage must be on site at the project in a size visible from the street level. Okay, this is a copy of the signage. This is a template of it. If you don't have it, you can contact your Section 3 contract administrator. We can get one out to you. However, where it says project name, be sure to take that off and put your project name. And then at the bottom, insert the name and contact information. Please insert the contractor name and a contact number and or email address at the bottom. Now this sign can be put up, we can send you a copy by email, you can blow it up, you can just as long as it can be visible. It can be regular size, long as it's visible from the street level where your project is, address of your project rather. The compliance form packets for contracts greater than $100,000. Okay. Compliance forms must be submitted by the contractor and the subcontractors no later than 5 business days from the execution of the contract agreement. Initial requirements include compliance cover page. This form, it captures vital contractor and subcontractor information and it is used to set up the project in various systems. We have a start of work notice. That form must be submitted when work starts on a project. Request for contractor subcontractor clearance. This form is a verification that the contractors and the subcontractors are uh, eligible to perform on federally funded projects. Then we have our SAMS results. This result is a verification that contractors and subcontractors are not on the excluded parties list. We have our Texas Comptroller result, and that's a verification that the contractors and subcontractors are not on that barred vendor list. And then there's a conflict of interest form. This form is a verification that the owner or the owners, the developer, the contractors, and the subcontractors have no conflicting relationships. Okay, the SAMS, the Texas Controller results, and the conflict of interest are also required annually. Our contractors Section 3 compliance certification form. This form must be completed by the prime, the contractors, and the subcontractors, acknowledging that they abide by the Section 3 regulations. Again, Chapter 24 of the Code of Federal Regulations, Part 75. That permanent employee list, we would need that. This is a list of all employees who are employed prior to the start of work on a project, regardless if they're working on a particular project or not. This form is submitted once unless a change occurs. We have that first source hiring agreement. This agreement adheres to the Section 3 policies when hiring individuals. Then we have our workforce analysis form. This form is an indication, this indicates the need or no need for new hires. This is a forecast form. We have our internal capacity affidavit. This affidavit should be submitted once, and that's only if that subcontractor does not have the need for lower tier subs, or if new hires for the duration of the project, meaning that whoever they started with, this is who they're going to end with. So they will sign this affidavit if that's the case. Then we have our termination of work notice. This must be submitted once the work ends on the project. Okay, our compliance form packets for contracts over $100,000. These are their monthly requirements. Monthly requirements include a Section 3 utilization plan. This Section 3 utilization plan, it lists the subcontractors utilized monthly on the project. Now, I'm going to speak a little bit about this because before moving forward, we are now only going to list the subcontractors utilized on the project. This is something new now. The subcontractors utilized on the project on that particular month that you're reporting on. So we're not going to, before we were listing everyone on the project from beginning to end, regardless if they're done with their part of the work or not. Now you are only to list the subcontractors that are working on the project. Only list those that are working on the project for that particular month that you're reporting on. Now, I know this is new, so if you need to get with your Section 3 contract administrator to get further details, please do so. But only list those that are working. Like for your monthly utilization plan, please only list those workers who work during the month of January. Okay. Next, we have our monthly internal capacity form. This form is an attestation of internal capacity status, meaning that you sign the affidavit saying that you're only going to use these particular people to complete the duration through the duration of the project, and you are still at internal capacity, meaning the same people. You have done no hiring and you have no need to do any hiring. You would turn in this monthly internal capacity report form. But however, if you didn't sign that affidavit, you would turn in a monthly activity report. And that form captures the hours worked by both the Section 3 and the non-Section 3 employees for the length of the project. This form is required if and or until internal capacity is claimed. Okay, continuation. We have our Section 3 monthly labor hours report. This report is required from the prime contractor monthly to track achievement of that 25% Section 3 worker goal, as well as that 5% Section 3 targeted worker labor goal. The compliance cover sheet. This is the copy of the compliance cover sheet. This form is required from the prime contractor, the subcontractor, and lower tier subcontractors. This form must be completed and uploaded in LCP Tracker along with the executed contract within 5 business days of the agreement. Okay, but just make sure that all fields are completed. And at any time, if you ever have any question on any of the fields or what you need to put, please contact your contract administrator. And here again is our Section 3 utilization plan. This form is a monthly requirement for the prime contractors and lower tier subcontractors with contract amounts of $100,000 or higher. The prime contractors and subcontractors must list all subcontractors and lower tier subcontractors providing services on the project for the reporting month, just like I just discussed, only for that particular month that you're reporting on. Okay. Then this form tracks achievement of hard and soft costs for our Section 3 numeric goals. Our monthly internal capacity report form. And this form is required for the the subcontractors with a contract of $100,000 and higher who are self-performing the scope of work indicated in the contract. Should subcontractors' status change, the subcontractor must inform that prime contractor, who will in turn inform us, the contract administrator, Section 3 contract administrator. Monthly compliance reporting submissions will be adjusted when the internal capacity status changes. Okay, this is a copy of the monthly activity report form. This form is required from the prime contractor, the subcontractors with a contract over $100,000 who have lower tier subcontractors to perform scope of work indicated in the contract. Should that subcontractor status change, the subcontractor must inform us, the prime contractor, and who will in turn inform us, the contract administrator. The monthly compliance reporting submission will be adjusted when the subcontractor status changes. Okay, next, this is a copy of our monthly labor hour and employee report. This monthly labor hour and employee report is required monthly, and basically you would fill out the top, make sure all the fields are filled out. We have a worksheet. If you don't have the worksheet, please get it from your Section 3 contract administrator, that when you put in your total project labor hours, when you put that number in there, that we have a worksheet that will automatically populate those other percentages there. So you won't have to worry about trying to get those percentages, it will automatically populate it for you. Make sure that when you're filling out this form, if you have any Section 3 workers, you will list them under Section A. List them by name. Make sure you have their Section 3 worker certificate number. If you don't have that number, it's located in the directory. And if you still can't find it, get with your Section 3 contract administrator and we can assist with that. Also, if you have any Section 3 targeted workers, you would list them in Section B at the bottom. And the same thing, make sure you put all their information in there. And remember, the targeted workers are Section 3 workers. However, they live within a 1-mile radius of the project location. Okay, our compliance form packet for contracts less than $100,000. Okay. Compliance contracts under $100,000 are not subject to Section 3 requirements. However, the contracts with contracts less than $100,000 are only required to submit the below documents, and those documents include a start of work notice. They would have to submit a SAMS.gov result for the company's business name, the owner name or names, and the company's employee identification number. They would have to submit a conflict of interest form and a Texas Controller debarred vendor search results, and those are annually, remember? And then they would need to submit a contract agreement or a master service agreement or a purchase order. They would have to submit a confirmation of subcontract contract amount form, also known as the COSCA form, and a termination of work notice. However, should your contract increase over $100,000 or higher, Section 3 requirements will be enforced at that time. This is a copy of the start of work form. Notice, we call it. This form is required from the prime contractor, the subcontractor, and the lower tier subcontractors. This form indicates to the assigned contract administrator when to begin monitoring and collecting the applicable compliance documents from the prime contractor, subcontractors, and lower tier subcontractors. This is a copy of our request for prime contractor or subcontractor clearance form. This form is required from the prime contractor, subcontractors, and lower tier subcontractors with every executed contract agreement and annually. The date and website details must be visible on the search results for the business name, the owner or the owner's names, and the employee identification number. Now, if you're having problems getting that, when you go and you save in your result to a PDF, make sure you have your headers and footers on, and that will automatically date stamp your documents. This is a copy of the debarred vendor list. This result is required from the prime contractor, subcontractor, lower tier subcontractors, and with every executed contract agreement and annually. The date and website details must be visible on this result as well. The process in order to receive this debarred vendor list is located in our forms packet. So the instructions on how to get this is there. So no worry, but just like I said, if you ever have any questions, please contact your contract administrator. Our contract agreement, a contract agreement or a master service agreement and or a purchase order is required from the prime contractor, subcontractor, and lower tier subcontractors performing on the project. Executed contracts must be submitted within 5 business days to the Housing and Community Development Department. All executed contracts must include this information. It must include the contract date and the project name, the contracting party's business name or names, the contract amount, the scope of work, signatures and dates for the prime, subcontractor, and lower tier subcontractors, the address or addresses of the home or homes for the single family projects. We would need the federal regulations. That's that chapter 24 for contracts over $100,000. And then for any DR 17 workforce provision, Appendix 15 have to be also with the DR15 multifamily projects. Okay, our confirmation of subcontract amount form, we also call this that COSCA form. This is required from the subcontractors and the lower tier subcontractors. If changes occur to increase the contract amount to equal or greater than $100,000, an updated form is required. And Section 3 monthly monitoring will begin. So on this form, you will fill out, if they're under $100,000, fill out A, submit it, upload it. But say, for instance, they go over $100,000 6 months from now, you would complete this form again. Instead of filling out A, you will fill out B. That would give me the indication that you are now over $100,000, and we are now going to be um, uh, um, monitoring you as a Section 3, all the Section 3 documents. You will have to submit the utilization plan and all the monthly documents. So from that point moving forward. This is a termination of work notice. This form is required for the prime contractor, subcontractor, and lower tier subcontractors. This form is submitted when scope of work performed by the prime contractor, subcontractor, and lower tier subcontractors is complete. Indication to the assigned contract administrator that applicable Section 3 compliance forms are no longer required. Also, this form is used to determine whether the prime contractor, subcontractor, or lower tier contractors are excluded from the annual search requirements. That's the SAMs, the Texas Comptroller, and the conflict of interest forms. Okay. And then for our single family projects, subcontractor agreements are required for every subcontractor working on a project address. A master contract agreement with purchase order is also acceptable. The prime contractor must submit a first source hiring agreement, a Section 3 compliance certification, a permanent employee list, and a workforce analysis form. And these are one-time only forms. That prime contractor must conduct a SAMS.gov search on each subcontractor and lower tier subcontractor performing on the project. The search is the company's name, the owner name or names, and the company's employee identification number. The prime contractor will submit a contract cover sheet, a Section 3 utilization plan, a Texas Comptroller, the BART vendor results, a conflict of interest form, a start of work form, and a termination of work notice for each subcontractor and lower tier subcontractor performing on each project and each address. The Section 3 utilization plan and a monthly activity report are required every month following the start of work date for each project address. All subcontractors and lower tier subcontractors must submit a confirmation of subcontract agreement form for each project address. The prime contractor must inform HCDD of any subcontracting or employment opportunities prior to awarding or hiring by forwarding an e-bid announcement, an EOA, which is the employment opportunity announcement, to our office for dissemination to our certified Section 3 workers and our Section 3 business concerns. LCP Tracker auditing system. Following a pre-construction or a kickoff meeting, the Section 3 contract administrator, a contract administrator will create the project profile and assign the prime contractor as a prime approver in LCP Tracker. This information required to set up a prime and subcontractor assignments in LCP Tracker is captured on the compliance cover sheet found in the compliance form packet. The prime contractor then is responsible for setting up and assigning each subcontractor to the project in LCP Tracker. Subcontractors must be assigned to a project in order to submit required compliance documents. The prime contractor then is responsible for reviewing and approving compliance document uploads submitted by the subcontractors in LCP Tracker. LCP Tracker captures Section 3 worker certification status and project labor hours as well. Okay, LCP Tracker under the employee profile page, the contractor will, and these are the steps here. They will select the demographic classifications and go on so forth. And this is like a snippet of what you'll see when you get there. And this here are the steps written here. These are very simple steps to go through. Step 1 through 6. Okay, and this is it's a two step process. This is the second step. Here you would and then highlighted here is showing you what you would have to select and put in information. And these are the steps here for uploading documents 1 through 4. Very simple steps to follow. And this is a snippet of the uploading. And what would come up, I like to always say the document, to go over the document type. Document type is very important. That's when, if you don't submit in the correct document type, if you don't describe it correctly, it will be rejected and returned. Because when we're audited, we have to find it. And if we can't find it, it's not there. So be sure and be mindful that the document type and the description, make sure it is correct. And for your convenience, we have this sheet here is the LCP Tracker upload locations. This sheet will help you, and this is in our forms packet. This sheet would help you when you're uploading your documents. Here is listed all our documents, and here in the highlighted is the document type, and these are the descriptions underneath it of what form goes under that particular document type. Our deviation request. Okay. A deviation request, first off, they are strongly encouraged if you need to deviate from your original participation plan. Now, be sure that the subcontractor replacing the original subcontractor on the original participation plan, that they are Section 3 certified, and also make sure that their scope of services are the same as the subcontractor you are deviating from. Okay, a deviation request is required. This is required when to add or remove a certified Section 3 business from the approved Section 3 participation plan. Okay, a written request from the prime contractor that must be submitted to your assigned Section 3 contract administrator for review to deviate from that approved Section 3 participation plan. The prime contractor must provide evidence to confirm the subcontractor was notified and then acknowledges the deviation process. Okay? The deviation request must include the who, the what, the when, and the why. Just like I said, deviation requests, we want to encourage them because if you have a subcontractor on your participation plan, your original participation plan, and they're not utilized and it's at the end of the project and it's too late, there's nothing we can do at that point. So we encourage you to definitely let us know and go ahead and get that deviation. And it won't be like, hey, I put this other person in there. It has to be approved before you just you can put them in there, but you won't get credit for it. Okay. Ongoing monitoring. Okay, ongoing monitoring. consist of monthly site visits. They will be conducted randomly to monitor the project activities and contractors' participation. Make sure when we come out, make sure that they know who they work for. Make sure that they can give information. If there's a language barrier, please make sure that they have a card of someone that we can call to get information. But and just like I said, make sure that Section 3 signage is out there. I need to talk with someone out there, and I need to see that signage out. The prime contractor will be provided with a compliance status report. That's our famous CSR. And they will get this by the 5th working day of each month. And this form, this CSR indicates if the project is compliant or non-compliant with program rules. A deadline will be given for correction of the non-compliant items. Housing and Community Development Department, Section 3, our contract administrators are required to submit reports to the General Land Office and HUD quarterly and annually that captures Section 3 workers and targeted workers, executed contracts, and the Section 3 businesses with construction and non-construction related contracts. Submission of required compliance documents in a timely manner, that is very critical to ensure accurate and reliable reporting. If the 5th falls on a weekend or holiday, reports will be provided on the next business day. Contractors' performance. These are some red flags that we have with Section 3. Unresponsive prime contractors and compliance administrative personnel. If I'm constantly trying to either contact you by email, by phone, and I get no response, that's a big red flag. Okay. Failure to submit change orders. That's a red flag. If I don't know what the change orders are, that's a red flag. We need to know. Okay. Failure to meet numeric goal requirements to demonstrate and demonstrate acceptable good faith efforts. Um, that's a red flag. We need to know how you're gonna, if there's a problem, you need to show your good faith efforts because at the end of the project, it'll be too late to correct anything. So please make sure you do not, fail to meet your numeric goal requirements. Okay, failure to submit timely required compliance documents. That's a red flag. Compliance monitor conducts site visits and then observes that contractors are out there performing that are not included on that utilization plan and or we have not you have not submitted any required compliance documents. That's a red flag. That's when we'll contact you and say, hey, we saw this particular company out there and I have no paperwork, no nothing on this company. That's a big red flag. Okay. Documents not uploaded under the correct document type in LCP Tracker, that's a red flag. You will get rejections if documents are not uploaded under the correct document type as well as not being described correctly. Okay. Then we have our contractors don't submit timely corrective actions. That's a red flag. We have to have you to submit timely corrective actions. Okay, substantial non-compliance could consist of payment withholding. Failure to comply with Section 3 program rules will result in withholding payment draws. Termination of contract. At any time, failure to comply with contractual agreement terms can result in the HCDD temporarily suspended and or terminating of the contract. Then we have our suspension, debarment, suspension, or limited denial of participation. Upon termination, HCDD will also include the contractors on the nationwide debarred and suspended list of contractors. Our project closeout evaluation. Okay. Conduct this project closeout evaluation report will be conducted to evaluate the prime contractor's achievement of the Section 3 numeric goal and compliance requirements. Deficiencies to meet numeric goal and compliance requirements may be corrected by the prime within 14 business days following receipt of the closeout report. Lack of corrective actions will be deemed as prime's inability or unwillingness to do so. Frequently asked questions. We have a few frequently asked questions here. I can go over some of them. Let me go over a couple of them. When does a Section 3 business certification expire? Section 3 business certification expires in 3 years. So every 3 years, you have to reapply for certification. Okay. What is a youth build program? A youth build program is a community-based pre-apprentice program that provides job training and educational opportunities for at-risk youth ages 16 through 24 who have previously dropped out of high school. Okay. Can a nonprofit organization be considered a Section 3 business concern for the purpose of Section 3? Yes, a business concern rather for the purpose of Section 3. Yes, they can. A nonprofit organization can be a Section 3 business concern. Okay, then we have a few others here. I encourage you to go through and look at these. These may help you in when you go through your compliance. Sometimes you may not think of certain questions and you see another question, be like, wow, this is helping me. So I encourage you, you get a copy, you can access a copy of this PowerPoint presentation, and you can go over all of these frequently asked questions. Okay. And now this is a copy of some resource links. I encourage you to go through these as well. Go through these links and just get some more information on our Section 3 process. Okay. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns, or have we answered them all? What am I questioning? Okay, I don't know if these questions have been answered yet. Are there any questions? It looks like someone is already answering some of these questions. I don't know. Can someone, is there any questions here that's not answered?
Yes, I
Okay.
believe LaQuinta answered all the questions in the chat
Oh,
box.
okay. Okay. Thank you, Leslie. Uh-huh. Okay. Are there any other questions that we have? No other questions? Okay. Well, this concludes my presentation. Please remember to complete the survey. The link to the survey is noted in the chat. Also, remember that a copy of this presentation will be available on our website in approximately a week. The link to the website is noted in the chat for your convenience as well. Remember that the key to compliance is communication. Be sure to be in communication with your Section 3 contract administrator. We can assist with any problems that you're having. Next, on our training, we will have Carolyn Seals. She will be presenting the MWSBE Technical Assistance Training, and that will start at 10:30. Again, I want to thank you for attending this presentation and enjoy the rest of your day.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the City of Houston's MWSBE Technical Assistance Trainings for Contractors. I am Carolyn Seals, your presenter for today, and I would like to start off with just a few requests. Please make sure that your microphones are muted and enter any questions that you may have in the duration of this presentation in the chat box, and one of our MWSBE contract administrators will answer your questions. And also, at the end of this presentation, please take a moment to fill out the survey. It is very important that that survey is filled out by each one of the attendees. So we really want your feedback, and we want to know how we're doing. First, I would like to introduce to you our division leads. Kanisha Lungden is our Deputy Director, and Crystal Boyce is our Division Director. The MWSBE team members consist of Felicia Farrell, Andres Melgoza, and myself, Carolyn Seals. There will be a few discussion topics we will go over today. One is the policy overview, the MWSBE certification benefits, MWSBE terms that we will use throughout this presentation. B2G Now is a program that we use to monitor payments. We have LCP Tracker, that is our document program that all the compliance documents are submitted. We have contract agreements, compliant forms packet, deviation requests, contractor performance, and closeout evaluation. Benefits of becoming certified as an MWSBE with the City of Houston Office of Business Opportunity. First, you have the advantage in procurement selection process. You will also receive alerts of networking and contracting opportunities. Your company will be listed in the city's online directory. You have an opportunity to bid on gold-oriented contracts covered under the City of Houston Chapter 15 ordinance. And also, the certification will be accepted with other Texas certification agencies. It's the policy of the City of Houston to strengthen minority women-owned small business enterprises, we call them MWSBEs, participation during all phases of contracts. The objective is to ensure local firms are afforded equal opportunities that promote utilization and eliminate discrimination. HCDD contracts must comply with federal procurement regulations, which mandates contracts to include all necessary affirmative steps to ensure MWSBEs are utilized to the maximum capacity. As a result, HCDD contracts must adhere to local and federal requirements as it relates to all MWSBE. These are a few commonly used terms that I'll use today. We have general contractor or prime contractor, which is the main contractor responsible for the overall coordination of a project. We have a subcontractor, the contractor that is hired to perform portions of work under the general contractor or the prime contractor. A supplier is a company that supplies product. Lower tier sub is a firm or individual that received work under the subcontractor that sublets a part of their contract. Good faith efforts, steps taken to demonstrate efforts to meet MWSBE goal requirements. MWSBE, as we said, it stands for Minority Women-Owned Small Business Enterprise. Gold-oriented project, a competitively bid project with the MWSBE gold requirement. SOW is a start of work form, and TOW is termination of work. Now we'll go into the compliance requirements. The gold achievement. After a prime contractor is awarded a project on a goal-oriented project, compliance can be achieved by one of two things. You must meet the required goal, or if you do not meet the full required goal, you must show acceptable good faith efforts and attempt to meet that goal. For more information in regards to good faith efforts, it is advised that you go to the City of Houston website and go to OBO and Docs and Forms and look up the good faith efforts. Please read this through its entirety because it's very important, especially if the contractor does not reach its goal. Only firms certified through the City of Houston Office of Business Opportunity Participation can be credited towards participation goals. For more information regarding the City of Houston's MWSBE certification process, also go on the city website and look up certification overview. This slide is very important because on projects, for instance, the overall goal for a construction project, let's say it's 35% is the overall goal. 25% is for MBE and 10% is for WBE. Well, what we advise all of the prime contractors to do is the companies that are not listed on the initial participation plan as the company that's going to help them reach the goal, and they're certified, we ask you to please deviate to add them for your goal requirements. Because sometimes down the line, the prime contractors are falling short on their goals, but since they've already deviated to add the MBEs or the WBEs, then they shouldn't have any problem exceeding the goal. Also, it's very important to mention that the prime contractor uses MWBE subcontractors on the initial participation goal. It's on the plan. So we have a list of the subcontractors that they're going to use to meet the goal. But the prime contractor is not aware that one of the subcontractors is subbing out part of the work. Unfortunately, if that subcontractor is subbing out part of that work, you will not get full goal credit, which is mentioned on your initial participation plan. So the prime contractor needs to make sure that the MBE or the WBE that they select will be providing 100% of their scope of work. This is very important. Following the pre-construction kickoff meeting, the compliance monitor would create project files and assign the prime contractor as the prime approver. And this is an LCP Tracker. LCP Tracker is a program that we use, and it's very user-friendly. So the contract administrator will be the only person that will be able to put in the prime in LCP Tracker. The prime contractor will be responsible for assigning each subcontractor and supplier to the project. Once they are entered, the project is entered into LCP Tracker. Then the prime contractor, whoever has the prime approver, will be able to list and to add all of the subs. And when we speak of subs, we don't want you just to enter the MWSBEs. We want you to enter everyone that will be working on that project. This information is required to set up a contractor assignment. It will be found in the compliance forms packet cover sheet. Each contractor must be assigned to a project in order to submit the required compliance documents. Here we have a screen of the setup process to enter the subcontractor into LCP Tracker. You click on the Setup tab and you add or edit the contractor. It's very simple. Just follow the the steps that will be given to you in the compliance packet. And first, we want you to make sure that you are not able to find the contractor in the system. If you're not able to find the contractor in the LCP tracker, then you'll be able to enter that information and add them into the system. These are your steps, 6 steps into assigning a contractor to the project. You'll log in and select the tab for setup, and you're going to add or edit the contractors. And then you're going to look for your project. You're going to enter the new contractor and save it, and then you're going to assign the contractor to a project. And then you select save. The person that the subcontractor will be utilizing to upload the forms into LCP tracker will get an alert that they should be able to set up an LCP tracker. Okay, you need to have your documents available on your computer. You can upload the documents. They could be a PDF or just any type of document. And you go to setup and select add and edit your document, enter the required fields, upload document on the appropriate file. As we mentioned, the screen shows that in eDocuments, you click on that tab and then you'll see it says view documents. Then the next tab shows that all of the documents are uploaded under the project name, and you select the contractor and the type of document type, and then you choose your file that you may have saved on your desktop. This document is very important. It's a document that I advise everyone to print and have on the side of their computer because it gives you the locations of where the documents can be uploaded. For MWSBE, we look for contractor verification. We look for your MWSBE utilization plan and schedule, and also look for your shared compliance forms and the subcontract agreement. So again, please make sure that you copy this form and you have it on the side of your computer so you'll know where the form should be uploaded. Also, the document description guide is a very important item that you can use to make sure that your items are named correctly. The contractor verification is the SAMS verification, the debarred vendors list. You just put the year, so we'll know which year that is uploaded, and your conflict of interest. And also we have your MWSBE utilization plan and schedule. You'll put the year and the month for the utilization plan. So we'll be able to filter if we need to find a particular month for your utilization plan. Then we also have your shared compliance documents. Section 3 and POP, we all look at certain forms. So it's in the shared document, so we all can view these forms and it's not in a separate type of document. Then we also can review or view the subcontract agreements or your change orders or invoices that you may need to upload. The document description guide for your single family is basically the same as any other documents that you will upload in the LCP tracker. The difference is each address will have their own documents. You have to have a contract for each subcontractor for every address they work on. You will do your verification, your contract verification, and that will be annually. And then your MWSBE utilization plan is the only document that will need to be uploaded in the LCP tracker on a monthly basis. B2G Noun is a program that we use to monitor payments. We do not only monitor payments for MWSBEs, we also monitor payments for everyone that's working on the project. After the project is awarded, a profile is set up in B2G Now for payment and participation tracking of certified and non-certified firms. As I said, we track all subcontractors, anybody that works on the project. The contract administrator, the MWSBE contract administrator, is responsible for adding the contractors into B2G Now. So as we were speaking about LCP Tracker, in LCP Tracker, you will have to upload the subcontract and the compliance cover sheet in order for the subcontractor to be listed into B2G Now. As a contract administrator, we do not receive any alerts that you have entered the subcontractors into LCP Tracker. So you can send a friendly reminder, hey, I added this contractor into LCP Tracker and I would like to enter some payments to that sub. The prime contractor is required to enter payments to subcontractors and suppliers within 5 days of the payment receipt from the city. Subcontractors, suppliers, professional service providers are required to confirm payments entered by the prime. So basically, once the payment is entered in for the prime contractor is notified with the payment via email. The prime contractor enters payment data for the subs 5 days after receipt of payment. The subcontractor is notified via email. The subcontractor goes in and confirms or rejects the payment. Then the compliance audit is complete. If the subcontractor rejects a payment, the subcontractor and the prime are notified via email. We ask that all prime contractors try to resolve any payment discrepancies on their end before you reach out to your compliance administrator to assist with this item. Access to contracts in B2G Now. You log into B2G Now with your company's credentials. Once the contract administrator adds the subcontractor into B2G, the subcontractor will be prompted and get an email that will show them how to log in and get their credentials to enter into B2G Now. Then you must, for step 2, under the dashboard, click Contract, and a list of all active projects will appear. To access a project, you have to click View. This screenshot shows that for the prime contractor, either they can individually enter for one subcontractor at a time, the information as you see on the first snippet, they paid the contractor $1,500 and the payment date, and they've answered all the questions and put the check amount information in there, and in some cases they attach a file showing that they paid them. On the other snippet, it shows all of the subcontractors that are listed in B2G for that project. The prime contractor can just simply type in the payment that is paid to the subcontractor, and they will be alerted any process that you select to enter the payments. This is what it'll look like for the subcontractor. It shows that the payment is made, and they will go in and they will select correct or incorrect. If it's correct, then that means the payment is approved. Compliance form packet. MWSBE compliance packets for certified and non-certified forms. So basically what we're saying is that we are collecting and we are reviewing all the documents that you upload for everyone that is working on a project with you. We have your annual documents, which is your conflict of interest form, your Texas Comptroller DeBarred vendor list, your request for contractor clearance form, also followed with the SAM. Then we have your reoccurring documents. This is your MWSBE schedule. The MWSBE utilization schedule is the only form, it's only for the prime contractor to upload to give us a forecast on when they're going to use their subcontractors on the project so we can start monitoring. The MWSBE utilization plan, and we also have the cover sheet, the start of work notice, the termination of work notice. These two forms are very important. The start of work notice lets us know that we can start monitoring that contractor, and the termination of work says that, we don't need to no longer monitor that subcontract. Then you have your executed contract amounts and all the other forms that were mentioned as your annual document. As mentioned earlier, the MWSBE monthly utilization plan is the only form that is uploaded on a monthly basis. Once you have completed all the annual forms and your reoccurring documents, the MWSBE monthly utilization plan is the only form that you will need to upload into LCP Tracker. As mentioned, the utilization schedule is only for the prime contractor. It shows that the prime contractor is recording for that month and the project information. And it's very important that all of this information is filled out. Then we have your compliance cover sheet. Your compliance cover sheet is very important. This form here is what the compliance administrators look at, and it shows us all the information needed for the subcontractors or anyone working on the project, the information needed to enter them into B2G Now. Please make sure that you fill this form out to its entirety and you do not write below the blue line. This form here shows the compliance cover sheet on your right-hand side, that it doesn't have a project number. It doesn't tell if it's a prime contractor or subcontractor. So this form will be rejected into LCP Tracker and you will have to resubmit. As I was saying, the compliance cover sheet is the form that both actually the prime contractor and the compliance administrator use to enter information into the system. It has everything that we need to make sure that the information is correct and to B2G Now. We will not accept this form if there are some empty spaces on this form. I'm sorry, if there's some empty spaces on this form, we will not accept this form. And as I said, you will have to complete and upload, re-upload. The prime contractor must submit a contractor clearance form for every contractor, supplier, and lower tier subcontractor consulting firms intend to perform on the project. The date must reflect the same year the SAMS verification result was conducted. The request for the clearance form and all generated SAMS verification results must be combined in one PDF format. This form here, as it states, needs to be combined with your SAM results that you will upload into LCP Tracker under contractor, subcontractor clearance form. Now we're going to be working with your SAMS verification, and the SAMS verification is the upload, as I mentioned, that would be added with your compliance clearance form. To verify eligibility of the contractor to work on a federally funded project, you must search. A search must be conducted for full company name, principal owner or owners. It could be several owners. You will have to conduct a search for each owner and the employer identification number through www.sam.gov. How to retrieve the SAM verification is here. The compliance packet has the directions that will guide you to upload this information to retrieve it. And you must make sure that once you retrieve this information, that the date of your inquiry is on the top of this form. You must sign in or create an account, and then you navigate to the header menu of any page and select search. From the search page, navigate to the left sidebar, select plus icon to the right of the select domain, select entity information, and click all entity information. Under the filter, check the any words box. Enter the applicable information, which we spoke is the company name, the EIN number, and the principals for the company, and then press enter. This is what it looks like once you have done the steps for the SAMS verification to upload it. And if you see at the top of this form, there's a date, and then it's the website, it's the SAMS website. This is what we look for. So as you can see in this slide here, the request for prime contractor subcontractor clearance form has all of its information filled out, and then we have the SAMS upload attached. For the subcontractor clearance form, as you can see at the bottom, there are two principals. So remember, you have to do a search for both members, both principals. These forms are combined and uploaded into LCP Tracker. Then you have your proof of non-debarment from the State Comptroller's Office. It must be provided by the prime contractors, subcontractors, suppliers, consulting firms, and lower tiers. This document must include the date from the website when search is conducted. Please do not manually write or type the date on top of the form. We will not accept it and it will be rejected. Right here are the instructions on how you need to go into comptroller.texas.gov and to upload the debarred vendors list, which is very simple. And these are further instructions that need to be followed in order to have the correct format for the debarred vendors list to be uploaded into LCP Tracker. Also, you need to, once the debarred vendor list appears on the screen, then you would need to press Control P to print or save as a PDF. Please ensure, as I stated, the date is on the list. If it doesn't appear on this page, on this document, then it will be rejected in LCP Tracker. This is just an example of what it should look like on your right-hand side. It has all the information. It has the date and the debarred vendor list, the website, and everything. So if it doesn't look like this document on the right-hand side, then you need to go back through the directions and make sure that it's done correctly and uploaded in the LCP Tracker as an annual form. Now we have your conflict of interest disclosure. This form will help ensure full disclosure and no personal interests that violate the program rules. This document must be filled out to its entirety. This document must also have signature. It could either have a wet signature or electronic signature, but we ask you to not write under the blue line. If there's any text or any written information at the bottom under the blue line, it will be rejected. Also, please remember to put your date. Put your date on your form. This form can be very simply done, but in many cases, it just seems like some of the steps are just forgotten and it's uploaded into LCP Tracker. So therefore, we have to reject, and we do not want to continuously reject these forms for you. This is just an example of how it should look and how it shouldn't look. Okay, so next is the start of work notice. This form must be completed by the prime contractor, subcontractors, suppliers, and professional service providers on the project. This form lets us know the date that the contractor has started working on the project, and we can start monitoring them for payment and compliance items in LCP Tracker. This document will not be received if you have a to be determined on this form or estimated date or just the month and the year. Now we're going to talk about the utilization plan. The utilization plan, this is very important that everyone pays attention to this form because things have changed. The utilization plan, the MWSBE utilization plan asks you to enter the subcontractors that are working on the project for the reported month. Do not list all the subcontractors that are working on the project through its entirety. We just want to be notified of the subcontractors that are working on the project for that particular month. This is an example on what the MWSBE utilization plan should look like, especially if you have a subcontractor that's working under you. So the subcontractor that's working under you, it should have this information. It should have the scope of services, and it should have the EIN number or your social security number, the contract amount, and the address. And if you are 100% self-performing, then you will only need to fill out the top portion of the utilization plan. As I said, the utilization plan is a form that is uploaded every month. Contract agreement. Contract agreement and/or purchase order should be executed with every subcontractor, supplier, or professional service provider, including lower tier subcontractor participating on the project. What we look for in the subcontractor agreement or the purchase order is the scope of work, the contract amount. We look for signatures for both parties, the prime and the subcontractor. We look for addresses for single-family homes. Again, if it's a single-family home contract, it will be a contract for each address individually, each address. And for MWSBE, we expect to see the mediation clause attached to the contract. This is what the mediation clause looks like. The mediation clause is used to try to resolve differences between the primes and the subcontractors and get the companies back to working together. The mediation can be initiated by either party or HCDD. Then we have your termination of work notice. This form also is very important because if you have a subcontractor working on a project just for a month and you have just submitted for that month the start of work and they completed the job that same month, please put the date that they the termination of work on this form so we will know that we will not have to monitor that subcontractor throughout the duration of the project. Also on this form, we ask you to fill out the full date. This form is also uploaded into LCP Tracker under Share Compliance Form. The work on hold notice does not apply to MWSBE. The work may be on hold, but we expect to see a utilization plan uploaded in LCP Tracker for every month throughout the duration of the project. We have our single-family prime contractor requirements. You must submit an executed contract agreement, also with the mediation clause attached, the contract cover sheet, the utilization plan, start of work notice, and termination of work notice for every project address. These forms are expected and reviewed for every address for the single-family home projects. All contractors, including lower tier subcontractors, suppliers, consulting firms, professional service providers, are required to submit a monthly UP on every address by the end of the month. A request for contractor, subcontractor clearance form, your SAM verifications, your debarred vendor list, your conflict of interest, all of these forms are uploaded annually. So that is once a year. Once you have uploaded those forms, you shouldn't have to worry about them at all. The only forms that you need to take more notice to is your utilization plan, and make sure that you have a contract. It's very important that you have a contract for every address. But let me mention in B2G, there isn't addresses separately entered into B2G. In B2G, we just have the subcontractor and the total amount of all the subcontracts, the contracts that they have. It says if the contractor has not previously worked under this program and/or has not been verified through the SAMS.gov, verifications records will be required to ensure the contractor is eligible to perform on a federally funded project. This is an example of a single family home and what's required. So you have a project and you have two separate addresses. It shows that the compliance cover sheet, the start of work, the utilization plans, and the contract or your purchase order agreement and your termination of work are for each address. Now let's speak on deviation requests. And deviation requests is a very, very important step that is taken within the projects. The deviation request requirements. Work is designated in your approved plan and cannot be completed by any other subcontractor and/or supplier unless you receive permission from Housing and Community Development. To deviate from the approved MWBE participation plan, the request must be submitted in writing to the assigned MWSBE compliance monitor stating your proposed change, the specific reason for removal, and how you plan to meet your MWBE goal. As I said, this is very important because the initial participation plan shows us exactly how you're going to meet your goal. If you plan on removing one of those firms or subcontractor that's on your initial participation plan, we need to know who you're going to replace them with. And you have to replace them with a certified MBE or WBE for this to be approved. The deviation request is only required to add or remove a certified MWSBE firm. As mentioned earlier in this presentation, you are advised to put in a deviation request for all of the MW BEs that are working on your project, even if they are not on your initial participation plan. This is your backup. It covers you for anything that may happen on the projects, and it happens where you're not going to reach the goal and you wish you would have added a subcontractor for your gold credit, and now it's too late because you've paid them over $1 million, which could have been added to your participation plan. This step is very important. The request should include reasons for deviation: who, what, when, and why. When removing a firm, a plan to achieve the impact MWSBE goal is required. A deviation request does not reduce or increase the contractual goal. Again, a deviation request does not reduce or increase the contractual goal. If your goal is at 35% and you put in a deviation request to remove the MBE, which is 10%, it will stay at 35%. You will have to find someone that's going to help you maximize and reach that goal. The prime contract cannot replace a certified firm with a non-certified firm. Now we're going to discuss ongoing monitoring. As the MWSBE compliance administrator, we will do random site visits. They will be conducted on a monthly basis, and this is to monitor project activities and contractors' participation. We also have a document that is sent out every month that's called the Compliance Status Report. The Compliance Status Report will be sent to the prime contractor, and on this form, it will show you what is needed in LCP Tracker. If there is any red on this report, that means you need to pay attention, and those documents need to be uploaded into LCP Tracker. Documents submitted for reporting and monitoring purposes by all contractors will be reviewed and compliance with requirements. The prime contractor will be notified of any items identified as non-compliant. So let me mention that the prime contractor gives their subcontractor the approval to upload the documents into LCP Tracker. That subcontractor will not be notified if it is uploaded incorrectly. The prime contractor will be notified. So I advise the prime contractor to make sure that they review all of the documents that are before they are uploaded into LCP Tracker, so you will not have the documents rejected. Commercially useful function, and we say there's CUF audits. A CUF audit is authorized by the City of Houston Code of Ordinances under Chapter 15, Article 5, Section 15 through 84. The commercially useful function is a tool that we use to make sure that if a company is listed on your project and the NAICS codes that they have used for the scope of work that they are performing under those NAICS codes. So this is something that we do on a monthly basis. We look for a MWBE that's working on the project, or we may send an email communication for your professional services to send information and also send documents to let us know the type of work that they're doing and that they are being paid on a timely basis. Contractor performance. We have some red flags that we look for. When the prime contractor fails to meet MWBE goal requirements and does not demonstrate acceptable good faith efforts. As advised, please go on the OBO website, the City of Houston OBO website, and look for your good faith efforts and read it to its entirety that you understand good faith efforts. A good faith effort could be as simply as a telephone call to subcontractors, MWBE subcontractors for the scope of work that you need to fill out. It could be a newspaper ad in the Houston papers, and it can also be email form that you sent out emails to try to recruit subcontractors on the project. The prime contractor fails to submit required compliance documents. The required compliance documents are in LCP Tracker. That's how we track to see if everything is uploaded and everything is in compliance. The contractor fails to review and/or submit accurate compliance documents for the subcontractors. Please make sure as a prime contractor that you review the forms before it's uploaded, because if they are uploaded incorrectly, it will be rejected. Prime contractor fails to complete monthly payment audits in B2G Now. The prime contractor will enter the information into B2G Now, and whatever in red shows me that the subcontractor hasn't gone in and accepted the payments that the prime contractor has put into B2G Now. The prime contractor is responsible to make sure that the subcontractor goes into B2G Now and confirm payments. Also, the prime contractor fails to submit a deviation request to remove gold credit firms. And the prime contractor fails to comply with program requirements. One thing that I like to mention is very important that everyone that works on the project, particularly the prime contractor or whoever they will be using to handle the compliance, has a good communication line with the contract administrators. We all want to be on the same page, and we all want to see each project succeed successfully. Substantial noncompliance. So let's say in B2G Now, we have a lot of red, and the subcontractors are not going in and confirming payments. Well, this is a reason for us to withhold payment. To withhold payments, it could be simply that the prime contractor is not uploading the documents into LCP Tracker in maybe 2-3 months, and they are not responding to our emails. Excuse me, and they are not responding to our emails. It's very important, as I said, you have a communication line with your contract administrators, because then we'll know if there's a situation that's happening, and then we can, revisit this information and put in our request to approve the payment. And another substantial noncompliance is termination of the contract. If the contractor fails to comply with the terms of the contract documents, HCDD may temporarily suspend or terminate the contract at any time. Upon termination, HCDD may also include contractors on nationwide debarred and suspended list of contractors, which is something that you do not want to see happen. Pending closeout project activities. As mentioned earlier, in B2G Now, it is reported that a lot of payments have not been confirmed. So on your right-hand side of the screen, it shows in red that over $309,000 of payments have not been confirmed. So I would call the prime contractor and let them know if this situation is not taken care of in a timely manner, then this can be a situation where they are not paid. A payment will not be released on my behalf. Also, a project cannot be closed out if there's any red in B2G Now. It will not allow me to close out the project. So every subcontractor needs to go in and confirm payments. The contract administrator, the MWSBE contract administrator, can help if there are any issues that the subcontractor is not able to get in and to approve payment. We're able to assist. Project closeout and evaluation. A closeout evaluation consists of evaluating the prime contractor, MWBE goal, and compliance with program requirements. subcontractors' performance may impact the evaluation ratings of the prime contractor. It is very important that throughout the duration of this project that the prime contractor reaches their goal. Your goal could be two separate goals. If you reach a goal for MBE and you do not reach the goal for WBE, you will receive an unsatisfactory, and therefore you would need to use your good faith efforts to show us why you did not reach that goal. So this is very important. These are your resource links. You can take a moment and just review for your federal procurement, your code of ordinances, and also, as mentioned throughout this presentation, your good faith effort policies. Do we have any questions? Great. Thank you for joining me for this session. It was a privilege to do this presentation for you. Please feel free to reach out to me, Andres Mendoza or Felicia Burrell, if you have any questions in regards to MWSBE goal requirements. Also, please remember to fill out the survey. It is very important that we know how we did during this presentation. And if there's anything that needs to be updated, we'll make sure that it is included in our next session. Next, we'll have Leslie Joseph for Pay or Play. Again, thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Hello and good morning. My name is Leslie Joseph, and I'm one of the POP Administrative Coordinators for the City of Houston Housing and Community Development Department. Today, I'll be covering the POP requirements for all current and future projects. Before we begin, please take note of the following housekeeping rules. This presentation is being recorded for training purposes. Please remain muted throughout the presentation. Also, if you have any questions, please type them in the chat box so they can be addressed towards the end of the presentation. We are collecting feedback to improve our presentations and provide you with a better experience. Kindly complete the survey link using the link provided in the chat box. The presentation will also be posted on the HCDD website and the YouTube channel in a few weeks. Kanisha London is the Deputy Director for the Compliance and Grants Administration Division, while Crystal Boyce is the Division Manager for Contract Compliance. Crystal oversees pre-award services and leads a team of professionals who administer affordable rental housing compliance, Section 3, Pay or Play, and the Minority Women-Owned Small Business Enterprise Programs. Lakeisha Tate is the Administrative Manager for Pre-Award Services and the Pay or Play Program. LaQuinta Jones and I are the Pay or Play Administrative Coordinators who oversee contracts for POP compliance on HCDD projects in accordance with Executive Order 1-7. If you have any questions or concerns about POP compliance requirements and we are not available, please contact our supervisor, Lakeisha Tate. All contact information can be found in the chat box. During this presentation, we'll cover POP program definitions, POP program requirements, POP submissions in B2G Now, final POP compliance review, POP frequently asked questions, and additional resources. The City of Houston's Pay or Play program was created to level the playing field during the bid process for vendors, as the cost of providing insurance or failure to provide insurance to employees may influence vendor bids for city work. Furthermore, the POP program aims to offset the cost of caring for Houston and Harris County's uninsured residents. The POP program requires City of Houston contractors to either contribute predetermined amounts to the Contractors Responsibility Fund, the CRF, for uninsured employees or provide a minimum level of healthcare coverage to their employees. For more information, please see Executive Order 1-7. We'll go over POP definitions at this time. POP applies to contracts valued at or above $100,000 for prime contractors or subcontractors valued at or above $200,000 for any subcontractors on professional service, construction, or service type contracts, on-call, work order, and job order solicitations. The POP program does not apply to any contract in which the primary purpose is 51% or more procurement of property or property purchasing, leasing, goods, supplies, and/or equipment. Intergovernmental contracts, interlocal agreements, or in bulk purchasing. Any contract for which the City of Houston has not expended funds, regardless of funding. A contract with an approved POP 4 exemption form that was approved by OBO prior to approval of the contract award that meets the exemption criteria in Executive Order 1-7. Subcontractors that utilize self-employed, owner-operated individuals to complete services such as truck drivers, day laborers, 1099 independent contractors are POP exempt. Subcontractors must supply a notarized statement on company letterhead stating all individuals working on this contract first and last name, indicating that they are indeed 1099 independent contractors and are not W-2 employees. Independent contractors are exempt from the POP program. This letter must be accompanied by OBO and must be accompanied by a copy of the independent contractor's SS8 government form that proves that they are 1099 workers. POP covered employees are all employees of a covered contractor or subcontractor working on site or in the office, including contract labor. POP covered employees are all over the age of 18 and work at least 30 hours per week with any amount of time worked on the covered city contract or subcontract. All Section 3 employees on DR-17 projects must be offered POP benefits. All completed POP 1 to 3 forms for the prime contractor should be submitted prior to the pre-construction phase. Both the prime and sub must complete and submit the POP 1 form. Both the prime and the sub must complete and submit the POP 2 form. The prime and any subs that meet POP requirements with Tier 2 subcontractors must complete the POP 3 form. All POP applicable subcontractors and contractors must complete the B2G Now access form. Contractors will be given access to LCP Tracker following the pre-con meeting, and you will be responsible for uploading your POP forms into LCP Tracker under the POP documents category. This is an example of the POP 2 form, which both the prime and the subcontractor must submit. On the POP 2 form, the contractor must select only one option for their POP election. Pay, play, or both. At the bottom of the page, enter the number of employees you expect to work on the project. Let's speak about POP program requirements. Pay, weekly workforce audit submissions. Contractors that elect to comply by paying will pay by contributing $1 per hour of work performed by a covered employee on a POP applicable contract, not to exceed $40 per employee per week. List all active employees, including exempt employees, under the workforce employee list and enter weekly workforce audit hours in B2G Now for each covered employee working on the project. Contractors must provide both the total hours worked for this contractor and the individual hours worked on the project for each covered employee. If both columns are not complete, your workforce audit will be rejected. Enter the hours for each employee that worked each week as follows. In the first column, which is listed total hours, the total number of hours the employee worked for the contractor that week. The second column will be considered hours worked, which is the total number of hours an employee worked on the specific City of Houston project. Invoices are created monthly from the weekly workforce audit reports. Payments are made through Paymentus. POP will not accept partial payments. Invoices must be paid in full. HCDD may request certified payroll or timesheets for each employee to verify hours recorded in B2G Now for paid employees. Pay. Weekly workforce submissions. Pay example situations. John is a covered employee who is not offered POP benefits. The employee must submit weekly pay submissions by entering John's total hours and hours worked into B2G Now under the workforce audit list every week. John is a covered employee and has insurance through his spouse. The employer should submit a completed and notarized POP 8 form with proof of healthcare insurance for John via email to the POP coordinator for review and approval. 3, John is a covered employee and accepts the POP benefits offered to him. John would be considered a play employee, not a pay employee, and hours are not required to be submitted. This is a glimpse of what you'll see in B2G Now when entering hours for employees labeled as pay. We will go over this later in the presentation. A vendor may request for an employee to be exempt from the POP program by emailing the POP administrative coordinator a completed and notarized POP 8 waiver form for review and approval. An employee can be considered POP exempt if any of the below applies to them. They are under the age of 18. They have health insurance through another source, such as a spouse, parent, Medicaid, or Medicare. Proof is required, or they may deny coverage for any other reason, but they must state the reason on the form in the space provided. I do not want insurance is not a valid reason. Here's an example of a POP 8 exemption form. Employees who qualify for exemption must fill in the required information in the employee affidavit section and sign and date the POP 8 form. If the employee denies coverage, box 4, for any reason, they must legibly provide a reasonable explanation on the line provided. Again, simply putting no or I decline without providing a reason will result in the form being rejected. An additional requirement, if the employee denies coverage, they must list their financial contributions they would have paid for a single employee if insurance had been accepted, as well as the financial contribution the employer would have paid for a single employee. All POP 8 forms must include original signatures and dates. Any typed signatures or dates on the form will be rejected unless they're completed using DocuSign forms. Forms that have been amended on another person's behalf will also be rejected. Ensure that all employees have correctly completed the POP 8 form prior to emailing it to the POP administrative coordinator for review and approval. Once approved, you will be sent a copy to upload to LCP Tracker. POP 9 form, which is a self-insured subcontractor request. Contractors may request for a POP 9 self-insured contract request form to be emailed to them if the employer is using their own money to cover their employees' claims. The POP 9 self-insured contract request and all required documents must be emailed to the POP administrative coordinator for review and approval. Contractors awarded self-insurance status will be play participants and required to report once a year. To be considered self-insured, the subcontractor must have an OBO approved POP 9 on file. Contractors must upload only approved POP 9 forms along with the required documents to LCP Tracker. Play quarterly workforce submissions. Subcontractors that elect to comply by paying will play by providing documented proof of health benefits in an acceptable form for covered employees. The health benefits must meet or exceed the following standards and must be submitted into B2G Now. The employer will contribute no less than 75% of the total premium cost per covered employee per month. The employee contribution, if any amount, will be no greater than 25% of the monthly premium cost. HCDD may request a completed eligibility verification form and a copy of your company's current pre-printed health benefits program or employee benefit packet offered to your employees detailing coverage amounts. Please note, HCDD does not accept insurance cards as proof of healthcare coverage for quarterly submissions. What is not required? As a elect contractor or subcontractor, you are not required to enter weekly hours. Please see POP frequently asked questions for more information. If a contractor employs union workers whose healthcare insurance is provided through their union, please inform your POP administrator. They will guide you on the necessary information for POP compliance. Quarterly workforce submissions. Place submissions are due quarterly in B2G Now database as follows. First quarter months, January, February, March, is due on April 1st. Second quarter, April, May, June, is due on July 1st. Third quarter, July, August, September, is due October 1st. And fourth quarter, October, November, December, is due January 1st. Play contractors will complete quarterly workforce audits as follows. Verify all covered active employees who worked on the city project on that quarter, whether on-site or in office, are listed in the workforce employee list. Upload the POP7 form listing those same active employees to B2G Now. The POP7 form must be accompanied by supporting company health documents, insurance summaries, and invoices that includes the name of those employees and the cost of coverage for each employee for the 3 months during each quarterly reporting period. All documents must be uploaded to B2G Now for the submission to be considered complete. HCDD will not accept insurance cards as proof of healthcare coverage for quarterly submissions. This screen displays what Play elected contractors see in B2G Now. Here's an example of the quarterly POP7 form used to report healthcare insurance. This form, along with proof of healthcare insurance, invoices, and healthcare summary, will be uploaded into B2G Now. You must fill out the top section with information about your organization. You are not required to enter your group or payer ID number. However, all other areas must be completed. List all your active employees, both on-site and in the office, who are working on the City of Houston project. Again, you do not need to include the insurance ID number. Please include the insurance monthly premium amount for both the employer and the employee, as well as the benefit year coverage from the beginning to the end date. POP submissions in B2G Now. B2G Now is the management system for all POP workforce audit submissions. POP7 forms and supporting documents will be submitted as workforce audits in B2G Now quarterly. Pay weekly workforce audits are required to be submitted in B2G Now. Once weekly workforce audits are completed, monthly invoices will be generated and sent to the contractor or subcontractor. Invoices are due 30 days after the date generated. Partial payments are not accepted. Utilize Chase Payment Portal in B2G Now to pay all POP invoices. Below is the B2G website link. B2G Now overview. Viewing POP contracts in B2G Now, adding employees to B2G Now, assigning employees to a contract, submitting weekly workforce audits, filling in weekly hourly audits, saving and certifying audits, submitting quarterly workforce audits, uploading and attaching documents for audits. When you log into B2G Now, you'll be taken to your dashboard's main screen. To view your City of Houston POP contract, go to the dashboard and select the Contract tab. You can also go to the left side menu and select Search and then Contracts. The Contracts page will appear once you click the Contracts button. Select View next to the contract for which you wish to submit your POP submission workforce audits. You'll be taken to the contract management screen after clicking on the View button for the relevant contract. There will be a few tabs listed at the top. 4 of the tabs are dedicated to the POP program. All employees who will be working on the contract must be entered into B2G Now prior to submitting any workforce audits. To do so, go to the Workforce Employee List tab at the top of the screen and select Manage Employees. In the event that you need to examine, update, and/or add a new employee to a POP contract, you will need to go to the Workforce Employee List tab. After selecting the Manage Employees tab, you can add your employees by clicking Add Employee. Remember, on your Workforce Employee List, you must also include all workers working on the POP project, including office staff, superintendents, project managers, or supervisors on site. To ensure consistency in workforce audits submitted, all B2G Now users are required to utilize their own individual login credentials when completing POP workforce audits to prevent unauthorized access. I want to stress the critical importance of maintaining accurate records in our workforce employee list within B2G Now. As part of our policy, deleting employees from the list is strictly prohibited. Any such deletions could result in discrepancies during both internal and external audits. If an employee is no longer working on the project for your company, please follow the following steps. Email your POP administrator, attach a signed letter of termination on your company letterhead. Specify the employee's name and the date they ceased working on this project. When you click Add Employees, you will be directed to the Edit Employee page. Here's where you will add employees that will be working on your POP contract. Fill in each section with an asterisk, as shown. You are not required to complete any other sections on this form. After entering your employee's names and selecting yes to indicate that they're an active employee, click the Save button to store the information. Alternatively, you can select Save and New to add another employee. After you added your last employee, click Save and Return to go back to the employee list. After adding all your employees to the employee list, you must assign those employees to a specific contract by clicking the Assign Employee to Contract button as shown. If you cannot find an employee who should be listed on the list, click the Add Employee button to add them to the workforce employee list and follow the same instructions that were just mentioned. You will be redirected to the employee information page after clicking the Assign Employees to Contract button. You're required to select the craft or each employee as either pay, play, or exempt, and the date the employee started working on the project. Select the option Yes for employee being active on the project. Once you have completed all the relevant areas, please click the Review button at the bottom of the page. When finished, click Save to add the person to the contract. Please note, since the Pay or Play POP program's lack of physical site inspections, we've partnered with MWSBE compliance officers who furnish us with copies of on-site sign-in sheets from their visit. This is part of our verification process, and it ensures accurate accounting of all employees listed on the workforce employee list when they work on site. If a sign-in sheet isn't provided to the MWSBE compliance officer, we may request for a copy of the contractor's on-site sign-in sheet to conduct a comprehensive POP compliance audit for your contract. If we get emails about a certain contract and that person is not listed on the workforce employee list, we will inform the people who are on the workforce employee list that that person must be added. Weekly workforce audit submissions. To submit your POP workforce audit, go to the top of the page and click on the Workforce Audit List tab. Next to the week you want to submit, click the View button. If you don't see View next to the week you wish to submit, click the Add Audit tab to add your audit for that week. After that, the View button will appear, allowing you to submit your information. Pay vendors will be required to submit weekly updates throughout their project. As mentioned earlier in our training, pay vendors do not offer or provide health that meets the City of Houston's POP criteria and will report hours worked weekly. If you see a red line with the word incomplete, it indicates you have not submitted your workforce audit submission for that week. To open that workforce audit week, you must first click the View button. When you click the View button, you'll be redirected to the workforce audit for that week. Select the Fill in Audit option. Take note that the employee list is visible. If you need to add certain employees with gray backgrounds to this audit, click Add to Audit. This is the point where you are to enter your pay workforce audit information. Pay vendors enter hours in both the total hours and the hours worked columns. The total hours column shows how many hours an employee worked for the company that week, while the hours worked column shows how many hours an employee worked on the specific City of Houston POP contract for that week. Check No Work if your company did not work for that particular week. During the closeout phase, if the contract is now in its final week, select Final as the special status before clicking Review. This notifies your POP liaison that your organization has completed the project. After clicking Review, you will be taken to the Review Audit page. If you need to come back later, select the Save and Certify Later button. If you are ready to proceed, click Save and Certify. The edit option is there if you need to make any changes. Complete the certification area with your name, title, and today's date to certify your audit. Once you've completed that area, click the review button. When you are ready to submit, click the checkbox and then certify and release to organization now. Now discuss place submissions. Select Workforce Employee List, then select Manage Craft Review for Play Quarterly Workforce Audits. All of your active, play, and exempt workers will appear here. Only choose employees who actually work throughout the 3 months of that reporting quarter. Make sure that your POP exempt employees are not selected. Attach and upload in bulk your completed POP 7, which includes all active employees on site and in the office who worked on this project during this quarter's months, as well as the proof of healthcare insurance summaries and invoices for the following quarterly audits. Please specify which quarter you are uploading in the comments. For instance, the first quarter of 2023, then click Save. At the top, a window will appear that appears to ask, are you sure you want to save and update and selected records? Select OK. The following screen will have a green box that says the selected craft reviews have been updated successfully. To exit, click the X next to the double-headed arrows. A confirm box appears asking, are you sure you want to close without saving? Because you received confirmation that your information was successfully saved on the previous page, select OK. This is what your POP liaison will see in B2G when reviewing your audit. Each month, by the 5th business day, we will submit a compliance status report to the PROM. This report informs the PROM about contract non-compliance, pending matters, and compliant items. We kindly request that the PROM email us a copy of the CSR along with their comments in the comment notes column once the non-compliance issues are resolved. To prevent payment delays received from the PROM contractors and to ensure smooth payment draw requests, we urge you to promptly address any outstanding concerns to compliance matters and bring your contract into full POP compliance. If there are any non-compliance matters on the contract that require attention, payment draw requests will be withheld until all compliance issues are resolved. HCD does not retain payments from subcontractors. Our authority extends only to withholding payments for prime contractors. Final POP compliance review. Now I will discuss what is required for the final POP compliance review. POP vendors shall submit all POP documents, POP 1 to 3, any approved POP 8 or 9 forms prior to closeout to LCP Tracker. All workforce audit submissions and all POP invoices for each POP vendor must be paid prior to closeout. Retainage payments will be held due to incomplete POP workforce audit submissions or unpaid invoices. Start of work and termination of work should be uploaded to LCP Tracker for each subcontractor prior to project closeout. Once a prime subcontractor has completed their project, the last workforce audit submission should be labeled as final in B2G Now. This will notify the HCD POP liaison to mark the vendor as inactive on the contract. Let's get into some frequently asked questions related to POP. Are only employees working on a job site required to be listed on the workforce employee list? No. All employees who work on the city contract, whether on-site or in office, must be included in the workforce audit employee list and accounted for during the audit. My employee has his or her own insurance and my company does not pay for it. Does this mean he or she must submit a notarized POP 8 form for exemption? Yes, you must submit a completed and notarized POP 8 form along with proof of healthcare insurance. This is the only time a copy of an employee's insurance card will be accepted. Email the form along with the insurance card to the POP administrator for review and approval. I'm a subcontractor on the City of Houston POP contract, and my contract ends before the prime contractor finishes the job. Do I still have to submit POP submissions? No. Please upload your termination of work notice in the LCP Tracker with the date and the contract the date your contract is completed, and then submit final in the B2G Now database during your final workforce audit week. Are subcontractors required to comply with the POP program if they are not MWSPE or Section 3? Yes. All subcontractors with the professional service construction or general service contractor whose contract amount meets or exceeds the $200,000 threshold are required to comply with POP requirements. Do any of the POP payments benefit my company? No. The POP payments are deposited to the Contractor Responsibility Fund, CRF, which shall not be used for any other purpose except to assist in providing healthcare services to uninsured persons in the Houston area. Some additional resources. As a resource for subcontractors, we have put together a PDF version of some frequently asked questions. Where should the POP form be submitted? How should the POP 8 form be submitted? How do I submit a pay or play workforce audit? How do I pay my POP invoice? And a couple more. If you would like to request a copy of the POP frequently asked questions, please send an email to your POP liaison. This brings the POP program presentation to a close. Is there anything in the chat box that needs to be answered?
No, I've answered all the questions.
If there aren't any more, oh, thank you. Thank you for your participation in the contract compliance technical assistance trainings. We hope you found the technical assistance trainings useful and enlightening. Our primary objective was to expand your understanding of applicable program regulations and standards, as well as provide you with resources and guidance to help you maintain 100% compliance on HCDD projects throughout the duration of your project. Many topics were covered during the technical assistance training, and the presenters did an outstanding job of sharing their knowledge with you. If you have any questions for any of our presenters, please see the contact information in the chat box. Thank you all for your comments and questions. We also ask that you provide valuable feedback for future technical assistance trainings plannings. Please complete the survey using the link which can be found in the chat box. We will make sure that each survey is reviewed and considered to make future technical assistance trainings even more successful. I wish you the best of luck with your HCDD projects. Thank you again for your participation in contract compliance technical assistance trainings. Please see recommended, and we recommend and encourage all future contractors, subcontractors, vendors, suppliers, service providers, and compliance consultants working on HCDD projects to attend these future trainings. Lastly, thank you for your time, and I look forward to working with you on all HCDD projects. I wish you the best of luck. Have a great day.